Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. I can do this, Naruto stated as he walked towards a tree with a book in his hands. Earlier Naruto had taken Jiraiya's book on sealing jutsus so he could see if they could help make him stronger. I know I can do this. Ero Sennin probably said that these things are too tough, so I could just leave him alone and not bother him again about the whole thing. Naruto said as he sat by the tree. Naruto stared at the book with intense eyes before he then opened it to see pages upon pages of seals. So this is it? Huh. Naruto then checked out a few seals, but as he looked at them, he kind of had a familiar feel to them. These things are just like puzzles. Kind of strange, but I guess I could try one out, Naruto said. Naruto then took out pieces of paper tags from his pouch and started trying them out. Naruto had then started making countless seals on the paper tags. Yeah, like this is supposed to be tough. Nice try, Ero Sennin, Naruto said with some annoyance. It looks tough. Naruto stopped making seals and looked up to see Fish Face and Sasuke's brother. I'm actually shocked that a Gaki like you can make such difficult looking seals that can put the Sannin to shame, Kisame said with a shark-like grin. Naruto quickly made his signature hand seal and then shouted, Kage Bushin no Jutsu. Suddenly 30 Narutos appeared out of nowhere and they all pounced at the two, but Kisame slashed away 6 of them and Itachi used Amaterasu to kill most of the others until only 3 were left. Naruto, with the help of the other 2, created a Rasengan's in both of his hands and charged at the 2. Naruto then jumped into the air and tried to slam his Rasengan's into the 2, but Kisame shot a volume of water from out of his mouth that took the shape of a shark and it then slammed straight into Naruto only for him to disappear in a cloud of smoke, meaning that he was really a shadow clone. Now where did that punk Gaki go? Kisame questioned as he looked around. Itachi then used his Sharingan to search the area until he caught a trace of Naruto's Chakra. Keep up, Itachi said as he dashed towards where Naruto was with Kisame following. Naruto was panting, thinking over the situation. He was alone, no Ero Sennin in sight, and to top it all, 2 S-ranked criminals were chasing him. He knew that there was no way he could get out of this situation without getting lucky, but he didn't expect Lady Luck to save him this time. Naruto started thinking of something, until he had an idea, but it was a very risky and dangerous idea, and if it succeeded, then things won't end up well for him. Naruto quickly took out a paper tag and pen and was about to write in something, but he then had to jump away as Kisame swiped at him with Samahata. Naruto glared at the Fish Face and Itachi, but then he realized that he dropped his pen. Naruto looked forward to see that Kisame had then stomped on the pen, destroying it. Now Naruto didn't know what to do, but then he suddenly had an idea. Quickly creating 50 clones that charged at the 2, but Kisame quickly went through a series of hand seals to perform a jutsu. Sweden. Bakusu Shoha, Kisame called out as he spit out a great volume of water from his mouth that then became a giant wave that swallowed up the Narutos and crushed them all, making them vanish, but unfortunately for the 2, the real Naruto had already gotten away. Damn cowardly Gaki, Kisame said. Naruto quickly bit his thumb, making it bleed, and then he quickly used his blood to create a seal on the paper tag he had in his hand. He sensed Kisame and Itachi coming closer, so he hurried as quick as he could until he finished the seal on the paper. Once it was done, Naruto quickly unzipped his jacket and then left up his black shirt along with his mesh armor, then sent all of his chakra into the tag and slammed it on the seal that appeared on his stomach. Naruto sensed his chakra being leached from him and into the tag, but he also felt his chakra pathways change as well, but he knew it wasn't enough, so he concentrated hard as he started summoning the Kyuubi's chakra and sent all of it into the paper seal as he then felt all of his chakra vanish as his chakra pathways had then been shut down. I did, Naruto thought as he fell on his hands and knees. Suddenly Naruto's neck was grabbed by Kisame, as the shark man lifted him up and slammed him into the tree. Got you now, Gaki, Kisame said with a shark-like grinning smirk, but suddenly Naruto started chuckling, making him raise an eyebrow in confusion. Am I missing something? You realized you've been captured, right Gaki? Kisame said. Yeah, I know. But what use would I be to you with my chakra pathways being disconnected? Naruto said with a cocky smirk, chalking the 2. What? You're lying, Kisame retorted. Itachi then used his Mangekyo Sharingan to scan Naruto's body, only for his transformed eyes to widen with shock. He's not lying, Itachi said, making Kisame turn to him with surprise. His chakra pathways have been shut and his connection to the Kyuubi along with it. He is useless to us and the Akatsuki. Itachi said. You're joking, how did he even do that? Kisame questioned. It doesn't matter anymore. He is of no use to anyone. Itachi said. Damn, guess I could just put him out of his misery. Kisame said. Bring it on, I can at least kick you in the face. Naruto shouted, muster up all the courage he had in his soul. Don't even bother. You'd basically be killing a wounded dog. All bark, no bite. Besides, it's better to let him suffer. Itachi said. And here I thought I was cruel. Fine, I'll let the Gaki live. Kisame said as he released Naruto, letting him fall to the ground. I don't know what you did, kid, but you get to live the rest of your life without fear of having to deal with us. Although I don't know what good that'll be, seeing as you can't be a shinobi anymore. Kisame said before he and Itachi shushined away. Naruto looked at the ground with sad eyes before he looked at his hands. Naruto then made a cross hand sign and tried to summon a shadow clone, but nothing came. After trying a few more times, Naruto now knew that his plan had worked, but at a great cost. Naruto lifted up his shirt and mesh and took off the tag on his stomach. Naruto then looked at the tag with sad eyes that started to water. So that's it. Naruto then crushed the paper in his hand as he sat there in place in momentary silence. No chakra. No jutsu. No more of anything. Naruto then hung his head in shame and disappointment. I can't be a shinobi anymore. Naruto said as he sat there and silently sobbed. Naruto made it back into the Samel town he and Jiraiya were visiting. Jiraiya then finally found Naruto, but he then saw the sad, stricken look on his face. Hey Gaki, what's wrong? Jiraiya asked. Naruto sobbed as he looked up at Jiraiya. I see. Jiraiya said with narrowed eyes, but he was still shocked on the inside. Once they had gotten back to the hotel they were staying at, Naruto had lied to Jiraiya by telling him that he was developing a new jutsu instead of telling him the truth because he was already too ashamed of himself for basically giving up, and he felt telling Jiraiya would have made it worse for him. I'll send a toad to give Tsunade the bad news. Jiraiya said as he then noticed Naruto silently sobbing. You gonna be okay? Is that all you can say to me? Am I going to be okay? I fucked up. I lost my chakra and now I can't be a shinobi anymore. That means that I can't keep my promise and bring Sasuke back for Sakura. What would she think? Naruto screamed with great anger and self-hatred as his eyes produced tears falling down his cheeks. Jiraiya just looked at Naruto with sadness and pity. He could only think of one thing he could so to ease the kid a bit. Jiraiya moved closer to Naruto and hugged him. Jiraiya let Naruto cry on his shoulder, letting the boy let out as much tears as he wanted. Naruto had cried until he had cried himself to sleep. Jiraiya took Naruto to his bed and let the young boy sleep. As Jiraiya stared at the boy, all he could say was one thing. Minato. Kushina. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your boy. Jiraiya said before he headed for his bed. Unknown to him, Naruto managed to hear him. Naruto had woken up in the middle of the night and went to find a pen and some paper. Naruto then started writing something down on it and then placed it on a table and then went to gather his things. Once he packed his bag with everything that he needed, Naruto then left quietly. Bye Ero Sennin. I don't know how you know my parents, but it doesn't matter anymore. Thanks for everything, Naruto thought before he left the hotel. The next morning, Jiraiya had read the letter that Naruto had written with tears staining the paper. Dear Ero Sennin, I decided that it's best for everyone that I leave. Since I fucked up and can't do jutsu anymore or do anything for that matter. I can't be a shinobi, I can't be of any use on the field, I can't bring Sasuke back to Konoha. I can't keep my promise to Sakura-chan, I can't become Hokage. My life is over. So, that's why I'm starting a new one, where my skills as a shinobi aren't mandatory. Funny, I knew a big word, that's a first. Thank you for everything that you've done for me. I will always be grateful to you, Jiraiya. Thank you, so much. Yane. Uzumaki Naruto. Jiraiya placed his hand over his eyes as he cried. You idiot. Naruto walked down a path as he started thinking of what to do with his life now. Well, I can still fight, but I wouldn't call my taijutsu anything special. Other than that, I suck. Unless I could become an assassin, but that's not my style, maybe in another life. Naruto said. That last part was a mention of one of my other stories, Akatsuki no Naruto. I know, I'm a commercializing whore. Maybe something will come up, Naruto said to himself. He then stopped as he saw a huge bridge in front of him. Wait a minute, this is... Naruto realized that he was standing in front of the bridge that Tazuna, the bridge builder, had built while he was protected by him and his team, his old team. After a moment of feeling melancholic, Naruto looked up to see a sign that said, "The Great Naruto Bridge," which made him blush at the fact that he had a bridge named after him before he then smiled. Glad to see I did something memorable as a shinobi, Naruto thought before he started to cross the bridge. God damn, how long is this bridge? Naruto wondered as he was halfway across the bridge, but it took him a couple of minutes to get there. Man, I was so caught up in the moment of leaving this place I must have forgotten how long it was, Naruto thought. After a few more minutes, Naruto managed to make it into Nami. Naruto looked around the place, seeing that the town had become more modernized since the last time he was here. Naruto walked around and saw that everyone was now happy, which made him smile. Naruto was so glad that he had a part in making Nami happy again. Naruto? Naruto turned to see Inari. Hey Inari, long time no see. Naruto greeted the kid with a grin. Inari started to tear up as he saw his elder brother figure back once again. Naruto ni-san. Inari ran towards Naruto and hugged him with the blonde hugging him back. I missed you, Inari exclaimed as he then looked up at him with his teary eyes. I'm sorry, Inari said. For what? Naruto asked. Because I'm crying, Tilda, Inari whined. Naruto placed a hand on Inari's head as he smiled at the young boy. Inari, I've learned that sometimes it's okay to cry when you miss someone, Naruto said as Inari continued to cry as he hugged Naruto tighter. I missed you too, Inari, Naruto said, still smiling. Well, look who it is. Naruto looked up to see Tazuna. Long time no see, Gaki, Tazuna said with a grin. Hey old man Tazuna, what's up? Naruto greeted the old bridge builder as he and Inari separated. I see you're as short as ever, Tazuna said as he made his way to the blonde. And you reek of sake, just as I remember, Naruto said with a grin as he and Tazuna laughed at their exchange. So what brings you here? Tazuna asked. That made Naruto feel saddened about what happened yesterday, a look that did not go unnoticed by Tazuna and Inari. I see. Well, Inari and I were heading home for some lunch. You're welcome to join us if you want, Tazuna offered. Thanks, I'd like that, Naruto thanked Tazuna with a smile. The group of three then headed for Tazuna and Inari's house. Whoa, is that really what happened? Tazuna exclaimed with shock. Yeah, Naruto had told them the truth of what had happened to him instead of the story of the one he made up to tell Jiraiya. He figured someone ought to know the truth since he's starting his life anew. He even told them about the Kyuubi to explain why the Akatsuki were after him and why his village despised him. I guess you guys hate me now. What? Why would we? Tsunami asked. Because of the demon I hold in my gut, Naruto said. Kid, there's a huge difference between a person and a demon. Besides, you said that this Akatsuki or whatever lost interest in you because they can't get the thing, Tazuna said. Yeah, that would mean that he's gone, right? Inari said. Well, he might still be in there, but most likely he's cut off from the rest of the world, Naruto said, looking at his stomach. So what's the issue? Tazuna said, shrugging his shoulders. Besides, this place will always remember you as a hero, not what that creature is, Tsunami said, sounding motherly. Naruto couldn't help but start to cry when he heard these three. You have no idea how much that means to me, Naruto said as he wiped away his tears. You're always welcome here, kid, Tazuna said with a smile as he crossed his arms. Naruto looked at them with a smile. Arigato, Naruto said. So since you're not a shinobi anymore, then what are going to do with the rest of your life? Inari asked. I don't know. I can't do much except pull pranks on people and outrun even the highest ranking shinobi back in Konoha, including the Hokage sometimes, Naruto said. Cool, Inari exclaimed with amazement, making Naruto blush from the praise since he's not used to it. But other than that, I suck at everything, Naruto said. Well, isn't there something you've always wanted to do? Tsunami asked. Naruto rubbed his chin with his index finger as he put on his thinking face. After a few moments, he figured it out. Yeah, I've always wanted to be a pretty damn good cook, Naruto said, lightly tapping his fist down onto his palm. Seriously? You? The loud little gaki who enjoys punching things? Tazuna questioned. Hey, first off, I don't like punching things because I don't like what it does to the hands. I only punch because it's quicker than kicking people, so I have to. And second, don't ever doubt Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto exclaimed as he puffed out his chest. Tazuna and Tsunami looked at Naruto in shock. Wait, you're an Uzumaki? Tazuna questioned. Well yeah, didn't I ever mention my last name the last time I was here? Naruto questioned, but his response was a shake of the heads from the adults who were still in shock. Oh, well now you know, but what's the big deal? Naruto asked. The Uzumaki clan was famous within these lands back when Uzushiogakure was still around, but after the village was destroyed with most of its residents dead, we thought that the entire clan had become extinct. Tazuna explained, but apparently, you're most likely the only one left. Tsunami said. Naruto and Inari were greatly shocked when they heard this. I'm from a clan? Naruto questioned, but then he started to grin a huge toothy grin. Yeah, take that Sasuke. Now who are you going to call a clanless loser? Naruto cheered as he thrust his fist in the air. Still though, it's kind of weird seeing you the way you are. Tazuna said, rubbing his bearded chin. Is that another crack at my height? Naruto asked with a glare. No, I already called you short before. What I mean is that you're blonde. Tazuna pointed out. Thanks for noticing. Naruto said with a deadpanned expression with half-lidded eyes. No, what I mean is that members of the Uzumaki clan usually have red hair. Tazuna said. Seriously? Naruto questioned as he held his hair. Well, I never met one when I was a kid with any other hair color. Tazuna said with his arms crossed. So does this mean I'm some kind of freak from my clan? Naruto asked. Naruto, your blonde hair doesn't define you in such a way. Tsunami said, trying to comfort the boy. Besides, you're probably the last Uzumaki in existence, so no one else from the clan can make fun of you for having it. Tazuna said. Well, that was bittersweet. Naruto said, still feeling a bit saddened that he might be the last Uzumaki left in the world. Anyway, I'm just wondering how you even know you're an Uzumaki. Tazuna said. Old man third Hokage told me. Naruto answered. So do you know which of your parents was an Uzumaki then? Tazuna asked. Actually, he never told me anything about my parents. Naruto admitted. Why? Inari asked. I don't know. Maybe they hated me. Naruto said with sad eyes. Impossible. No person can hate their child when he's first welcomed into the world. Tsunami said. Then why else would he not tell me? Naruto questioned. Maybe he was trying to protect you. Tazuna said, getting all eyes on him. The Uzumaki clan did have enemies, so maybe he was trying to protect you from the enemies one of your parents had from other villages or any bastards out there who wanted to snuff out any Uzumakis. Naruto's eyes widened at the fact that Tazuna must have been right. No, he knew that he was right, and that was enough to make him smile a bit. I think you're right, old man. Anyway, old man Tazuna, do you know anything else about my old clan? Naruto asked. Well, not much, but I do remember that Uzumakis were distant cousins to a clan called the Senju. Tazuna said, making Naruto's eye widen. So then that means that Tsunade Ba-chan and I are family. Naruto thought with shock. From them, Uzushio and Konoha became close allies. In fact, that red swirl on your back is the crest of the Uzumaki clan. Tazuna said, surprising Naruto. Konoha had put the Uzumaki clan's crest as a sign of friendship and camaraderie with their sister clan. In fact, I think I also see the crest on that symbol on your headband. Tazuna said. Naruto then took off his Hite-8 and looked at it. At first the blonde didn't see it, but then he covered up the point and the stem, and soon Enio he saw the Uzumaki clan symbol. So what happened to Uzushiogakure? Naruto asked. During one of those shinobi world wars, 2 other villages banded together and destroyed Uzushio, along with most of its people. Tazuna said. But if that's true, Gigi, then why didn't Konoha help them? Inari asked. I'm afraid they were dealing with their own problems that became too grand that they couldn't provide aid to their comrades. Tazuna said. I see. Naruto said with sad eyes. But even if Uzushio is gone, a couple of people here still believe in the bond between our land and the Land of Fire. In fact, that's the reason I asked Konoha to assist me instead of Kiri for protection while I built the bridge, because I still believe in that strong bond and that Konoha would help get the job done. Tazuna explained as he then grinned. Who would have thought that I would have been lucky enough to find an Uzumaki to help renew everyone's faith in the bond between Nami and Konoha? Naruto looked at Tazuna with wide eyes before he flashed his trademark grin. You know Naruto, if you wish to learn how to cook, I can show you some of the basics. Tsunami said. Naruto looked at her, surprised that she offered as he then smiled and bowed to her. Arigato, Tsunami-chan. Naruto thanked the older woman, making her giggle at how sweet he was. It has been a few days since Naruto came to Nami. Tazuna, Inari and Tsunami allowed Naruto to stay since they liked the kid so much. During that time, Tsunami taught Naruto how to cook, and truth be told, the kid had a lot of potential as a cook. In fact, Tsunami actually thought Naruto was better than her at cooking. When he wasn't cooking, Naruto practiced some taijutsu, but he decided to try fighting with only his legs. He was afraid that if he continued fighting with his fists that he would accidentally cripple them, making his desire to cook into an unattainable goal. Naruto now wore a black shirt, black pants, his usual blue shinobi sandals and an orange armband wrapped around his right bicep. Right now, Naruto was with Tazuna and Inari shopping for food for dinner. Hey Naruto. Naruto turned to Tazuna. Check that young one. Tazuna said, pointing behind Naruto, making him turn around to see a pretty girl. She had brunette hair that went to her mid-back, pretty brown eyes, she wore a red shirt, black pants, sandals and had a gold bracelet around her left wrist. Ew, gross old man. I didn't know you were a… Tazuna managed to hit Naruto on the head, making him stop talking before he said anything else. Idiot, I was going to tell you to go talk to her. Tazuna said. What, why? Naruto questioned. Kid, you're growing up, you should be interested in girls right now, so try and flirt with her. Tazuna said. Flirt with her? Naruto didn't want to because he still held feelings for Sakura, but since she was a part of his old life that he gave up, then he thought that maybe it was best to find someone new. Only one problem though. I don't know how to flirt. Naruto said with a blush. Just compliment her and junk. Girls like it when you act all sweet and head over heels for them. Tazuna said. Is that how it works? Naruto questioned. Yeah, go give it a shot. Tazuna said, pushing Naruto towards the girl, but apparently he was pushed into the girl, making her fall to the ground. Oh, crap, what should I do now? Naruto thought, but then he decided to wing it. I apologize my lady, a fool like me should feel disgusted for not watching my step. Naruto said, trying to sound romantic as he got down on one knee and extended his hand to the girl. Allow me to help you pee to your dainty feet. Naruto offered. The girl took Naruto's hand as he then helped her up. Arigato. The girl thanked Naruto. I must say you are a gorgeous young woman. Naruto said with a bow. Oh, that's really sweet of you to say. The girl said with a blush as she held one of her cheeks. Sorry, but I have to go now. The girl said. I understand, but it was nice meet someone so angelic as you. Naruto said as he stood up straight with a sweet smile on his face. And it was nice to meet someone as sweet as you. The girl said with a bow before she turned and left. So long sweet Melorine Tilda. Naruto said romantically, making the girl blush red as she left while others around looked at the blonde with confusion. Naruto turned and headed towards Tazuna and Inari, who looked at him in shock with their jaws slacked. Damn kid, I didn't know you had it in you. Tazuna said. Me either. Naruto said, still shocked at how well he flirted with the girl. Ni-san, what's a Melorine? Inari asked. An alternative to ice cream. Your mom just told me about it. Naruto said. So you called that girl ice cream? Geez kid, that's a new one. Tazuna said. So how was it? Tazuna asked. Truth be told, I want to flirt with more girls. Naruto exclaimed with a huge grin, making Tazuna and Inari fall on their faces. I've created a monster, a perverted monster. Tazuna thought. In Konoha, Tsunade was drinking again as she mourned over her recent loss. It's been a day since Jiraiya came back, and when he had told her the bad news, she felt empty for a moment before she went ballistic and started wrecking the entire room. It took Jiraiya and Kakashi to stop her from causing any more destruction. Shizune started to cry immediately when she heard the news, but she felt the one who felt the most pain was Sakura. She knew Naruto for a long time, and when she heard that he had left without a trace, she broke down and started to silently sob. Even though she heard the news yesterday, she locked herself in her room and stayed there sobbing for the whole night and still is mourning today. Everyone was affected by this. The villagers were happy, but more than a third felt great sadness. The Konoha 10, which was the name given to the graduates of Naruto's generation in Team Guy, also felt pained. Especially Hinata, since it was no secret, except to the blonde baka Naruto, that she had feeling for him. She was pretty much in the same state Sakura was in. Tsunade looked at the knot that Naruto had left for Jiraiya with stains from her old teammates' tears and her own. "You idiot. You're coming back here whether you like it or not," Tsunade thought. The only upside she could think of was that Naruto didn't leave the necklace she gave him with Jiraiya, which made her think that Naruto couldn't part with it because he loved the gesture she had given him. It has been a month now and Naruto was sitting at the boardwalk that was near the house. Naruto's whisker marks have been fading lately at the point that they were barely noticeable now, and his eyebrows had made a very weird development with the hair from the outer end of his right eyebrow form a spiral while the left eyebrow's hair had formed a spiral on the inner end. Naruto was holding the necklace that Tsunade had given him. He thinking of leaving it with Jiraiya, but he couldn't bring himself to part with it. It meant too much to him. "I miss you, Ba-chan," Naruto thought as he shed a tear. Naruto then looked at the water that was inches from his feet. "Man, I already miss the days where I could walk on water, fucking Akatsuki," Naruto thought. Naruto turned to see Tsunami. "Do you think you can go pick up some ingredients for me?" Tsunami asked. "Of course Tsunami-chan, anything for you," Naruto said with hearts in his eyes as he shot up to his feet. A little after Naruto got into the habit of flirting and swooning, Naruto had developed a crush on Tsunami, but of course he kept himself in line whenever Tazuna and Inari were around. Naruto took the list of ingredients from Tsunami and quickly dashed towards town. Tsunami giggled at the U-blonde's behavior. "That boy is just too cute," Tsunami said with a smile. Naruto walked into the grocery hut and got the ingredients for tonight's dinner. As he was about to leave, he saw a girl wearing something red as she bent down to grab something. Naruto suddenly developed hearts in his eyes as he grinned. "A gorgeous beauty," Naruto exclaimed as he spun his way towards her. "Beautiful Melorine Tilda, even if I can't see your face, I just know just by looking at your form that you must be gorgeous," Naruto exclaimed. "What was that, you stupid pervert?" The girl raised her voice as she stood up and turned around towards the man. Naruto stopped in place as he felt his heart stop as he saw the girl he was trying to flirt with was Sakura. Sakura's eyes widened when she noticed the blonde hair and familiar cerulean eyes, blonde hair and faint but still slightly noticeable whisker marked like birthmarks. "Naruto?" Sakura said with shock as she stared at the blonde. Naruto did the only sensible thing he could think of. He ran away as fast as he could and as far away as possible from Sakura. Sakura tried to keep up, but Naruto was way faster than he ever was before. Sakura stopped as she placed her hands on her knees. "Naruto, I lost Sasuke. I swear I won't lose you, not after finding out the truth," Sakura thought as she tried to follow his trail. It was a whole week since Naruto was declared a missing nin. Sakura was at her balcony with her head resting on her arms on the railing. "Still miss him, huh?" Kakashi said as he appeared next to her, sitting on the railing. Sakura just simply nodded. "I know that you miss him, I do too, but I came over to ask if you wanted to clean out his apartment." Sakura simply shed a single tear as she nodded in agreement. Sakura and Kakashi entered Naruto's old apartment and started to clear everything out. After a while, Sakura moved to a drawer next to Naruto's bed and opened one of the drawers and then started to take out Naruto's clothes. As she was taking out the clothes, Sakura noticed a piece of paper in the corner with her name on it. What in the world? Sakura moved some of the clothes to find a few letters with her name at the top. "Naruto wrote letters that he wanted to give to me?" Sakura then noticed a black box and grabbed it. She opened it only for her eyes to widen as she saw a necklace with a pink sakura blossom pendant tied onto it. "What do you have there?" Kakashi asked as he made his way to Sakura. She had her hand over her mouth as she started to cry. Kakashi saw the letters and the gift. "Since those are addressed and intended for you, I feel you deserve to take them with you, if you wish, that is," Kakashi said, placing a comforting hand on Sakura. Sakura nodded as she gathered the letters and the box. "Sakura, maybe you should go home. I'll take care of the rest from here," Kakashi said. Sakura nodded as she made her way towards the door and left for home. Once Sakura made it home, she started reading the letters. As expected of Naruto, he had sloppy handwriting, but she tried to read every last word as best as she could. Dear Sakura-chan, this is something that I've been meaning to tell you, but since I'm a complete coward I figured that this would be the closest for me to tell you anything. I guess I should start out with what I want to say. You're incredible. And once I become a genin I hope we'll be on the same team. Believe it, I guess that's all I can say right now. Or more like right, but I promise more of these will come real soon. From yours truly, Naruto Uzumaki. P.S. Believe it, Sakura couldn't help but giggle at that last part. Even when it comes to his sloppy writing he always acted like an energetic fool. Sakura then grabbed the next letter and started to read it. Dear Sakura-chan, Yata, we're on a team together. Too bad Tomi's with us. I just wish it was just you and me, ya know? But I guess it doesn't matter since you and I are on the same team, but I feel bad about what I did during our break before we met that weird masked guy. Sakura raised an eyebrow, wondering what he meant. I guess this is the closest thing for me to tell you. I was the one who complimented your forehead, not Sasuke. Sakura gasped as her eyes widened with shock. I managed to capture the Teme by surprise thanks to my handy new Kage Bushin no Jutsu. Once I tied him up, I hanged as him and went to you. I wanted to know what you thought about me. When I got there, I tried to act cool, but the minute you looked at me, my heart froze at how beautiful you were. I couldn't but say the first thing that came to my mind and that was that I thought your forehead was so wide and charming that I wanted to kiss it. Of course I acted like a total douche and told you I was kidding so Sasuke wouldn't look like the cool guy, but that doesn't mean that I didn't mean what I said about your beautiful forehead. And now I'm regretting telling you that as the Teme. A real man should tell someone how they feel as themselves, not as his dream girl's dream boy. I guess that doesn't make me any better than when the Teme rejects you. I'm sorry. Naruto. Sakura started to shed tears that stained the letter in her hand. You baka, Sakura said as she sobbed, but she couldn't blame him. In fact she understood why he did it. She would have just punched him and left for even being near her. Sakura then started reading more letters with each one making her cry and feel a newfound affection for the blonde hyperactive baka. After several letters, Sakura grabbed a special one that said, Happy Birthday, at the top of it. Happy birthday Sakura-chan, I remembered your birthday, see. I managed to save up enough money to get you a gift. After I bought it, I tried to give it to you, but you were busy and didn't want it to be bothered so I decided to hold on to it. Busy my ass, I just probably didn't want him bothering me. Kami, I was such a bitch. After a moment of self-anger, Sakura continued to reel the rest of the letter. But don't worry, I'll hold it safe for you, I promise and you know about me and promises. From the one and only, Naruto Uzumaki. Sakura looked at the black box and opened it to look at the pendant once more. She took it in both of her hands and then held it tightly and she hugged it. After a few moments, and a few tears, Sakura started to read more of the letters until she had 2 left. Sakura then grabbed the older of the 2 and started to read it. Sakura. Something was up, she knew it because he didn't add the suffix at the end of her name. I realize it now. You'll never love me, only the Teme. When I saw the way how you hugged him and cried tears of joy and relief. I realized it, I can't win, and even when I know this I can't stop loving you. My heart still yearns for you. I feel that no matter what, I will always love you. Through everything we've been through my heart still and I feel always will belong to you and no one else. I know I'm sounding like a loser when I'm writing this, but I can't help myself. This is how I truly feel. When the Teme challenged me, I thought I'd show you who was better, but I was an idiot for thinking that. When Sasuke and I were about to finish it, my heart was filled with fear when I saw you run straight towards where our jutsus would clash. I was so grateful to Kakashi-sensei when he stopped us. I wouldn't have forgiven myself if you were hurt, or crippled or worse. I'm sorry I was a fool Sakura-chan. Naruto. Sakura started to shed more tears at this, but she stayed strong and grabbed the last one and finally started to read it. Sakura-chan. Sasuke left the village and I couldn't bring him back. I'm sorry I was useless. But I swear that I will get him back. I'm leaving the village with Ero Sennin and when I come back I'm going to be stronger than ever. I'll be strong enough to bring Sasuke back and fulfill the promise I made to you. Your happiness means the world to me Sakura-chan. Even more than my own. I guess since you love Sasuke so much and that date you offered me was out of pity, I guess this would be a perfect time to tell you since you won't feel the same way about me. I love you, Sakura-chan. And not any shinobi, heaven or hell or even Kami or Yami will make me feel otherwise for the rest of my days. I know you'll never feel the same way, but I just wanted you to know. I hope I get the courage to give these letters to you someday, but until then I'll just keep doing my thing and let you live your life. Goodbye for now, Sakura-chan. I can't wait to see you in the near future. Love, Naruto. P.S. If I could only ask for one thing from you, it's that you'd always smile. I love your smile. Sakura let the letter fall to the floor as she started to cry uncontrollably. You baka, Sakura said as she continued to cry. I'm going to bring you back. That's my promise to you. Sakura then lied down on her bed and cried as she held the necklace in her hands and held it close to her heart. Sakura continued to follow Naruto's trail as her necklace danced against the wind with her pink Sakura blossom pendant shined from the rays of the sun. Sakura turned around to see Kiba with Akamaru, Hinata and Shikamaru. I'm guessing you found him, huh? Shikamaru said. Yeah, I did, Sakura said with a nod. Akamaru and I caught his scent, follow us. Kiba exclaimed as he guided the group towards where Naruto ran off to. Where's Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked. He said he went to go talk to some old faces from the past. Shikamaru said. Sakura nodded, fully understanding who her sensei meant. Naruto quickly made it to the front door of the house and quickly opened it only to see a familiar face sitting at the dining table with a cup of tea in his hands. Well, look who it is. Kakashi said, looking at Naruto. Oh crap, Naruto thought as he continued to stare at Kakashi. Oh Naruto, there you are. Did you get the ingredients? Tsunami asked as she made her way from the kitchen. Of course Tsunami-chan, I got them right here. Naruto said as he had hearts for eyes and made his way to Tsunami, who giggled at his behavior. After she got the ingredients, she went back to the kitchen, leaving Naruto with Kakashi. Naruto turned to Kakashi to see that his old sensei was looking at him with a wide, shocked eye. Not a word, Naruto said with a deadpanned look on his face. Naruto, do you think you can help me cook? Tsunami asked. Of course. Anything for you, Tsunami-chan. Naruto said back in his love mode with his huge grin and hearts for eyes, and he quickly made his way to the kitchen. All the while Kakashi had a look of shock at Naruto's new personality. Was that really Naruto, or did I just meet a new perverted blonde? Kakashi thought, still in shock. He's here, along with something that smells delicious. Kiba said as he led the others to a house near a huge body of water. Wait a minute, this is Tazuna's house. Oh, of course he'd stay here. Sakura said, feeling like an idiot for not coming here first. Well, time to say hi to the baka again. Shikamaru said as the four made their way towards the house. Hinata was feeling nervous. She hadn't seen Naruto in so long. She made a promise after he went missing that she'd tell him her feelings. She was hoping that she could gain the strength to do so. Naruto-kun, I missed you so much. I promised that I'd bring you back, and I intend to keep that promise. Hinata thought as her and the others stopped in front of the door. Shikamaru knocked on the door, and after a few moments Tsunami opened the door. Hello Tsunami-san. Sakura immediately greeted the woman with a bow. Oh Sakura, it's good to see you again, and I see that these three and the adorable puppy must be your new team. Welcome, Tsunami said with a smile as she gave a small bow. How do you know about us being on the same team? Kiba asked. Well, because Kakashi is here and he told me everything. Tsunami answered. Then does that mean that? Naruto. He is here, Sakura. In fact, he's been living with me and my family for a month now. Tsunami answered. Would you like to see him? Sakura started to tear up and she nodded in confirmation. Yes, please, Sakura said. Tsunami smiled as she welcomed them in. Once the four genin made it inside, they were welcomed with the sight of Kakashi and a delicious smell. Man, what's cooking? Kiba said as he and Akamaru smelled the delicious meal. Fish with fried rice and a nice soup. The four turned to the kitchen to see a familiar blonde cooking the meal. I thought with the famous Inuzuka nose that you'd be able to know what it was. Naruto said, still keeping his back to them. Naruto, you're cooking it? Damn it, guess it's going to be burnt. Kiba said, but then suddenly he was kicked straight in the face, sending him flying back out the door. The genin looked to see Naruto with his leg raised up before he put it back down on the floor. Show a chef respect, Kiba, or else you'll get what's coming to you. Naruto said as he walked back into the kitchen. Damn it. Ow, I think he broke my nose. Kiba said as he held his nose with Akamaru whining about his friend's new injury. Quit being a baby, I didn't kick you that hard. Naruto said. Why the hell did you kick me? I thought you would have punched me. Kiba shouted. A chef should never fight with their hands. They should only be used for cooking. Naruto said as he continued cooking the meal. Naruto. Sakura started as she made her way to him. Naruto sighed as he knew what was next, so he made his way to Sakura and bent his head down for her. Go ahead, Naruto said as Sakura then punched him in the back of the skull. You baka, Sakura shouted. Naruto groaned as he rubbed the sore spot on his head before he stood up. Better? Naruto asked, but then suddenly Sakura hugged him, shocking everyone except for Tsunami, who was confused as to why everyone's eyes were so wide. You baka, don't ever run away again, Sakura said. Naruto didn't know what to do, but then he smelled the food. Oh crap. Naruto quickly separated from Sakura and ran back to the kitchen to make sure the food was fine. Oh thank Kami, it's still good, Naruto said as he continued to cook. Apparently Naruto has become a pretty good little chef, Kakashi said with an eye smile. A compliment from Kakashi Hitaki, now that's rare. Naruto mumbled. Ow, that hurts my feeling Naruto. Kakashi said with mock hurt. You only taught me to never abandon my comrade and how to walk on trees. Sorry if I don't got that much respect for you as a sensei. Naruto said. Now Kakashi felt hurt. A leader on the other hand, I respect you a whole hell load with that. Naruto said, making Kakashi feel a little better. Dinner will be ready in like 5 minutes, so either sit down and wait or go take a smoke outside. Naruto said. None of us smoke, Shikamaru said. It's a troublesome habit. That's what I said to Tazuna and he still got me to try it. Naruto thought as he remembered his first smoke that he had with Tazuna. What kind of old man offers a 13-year-old kid a smoke? Hell, if it wasn't for the fact that he called me a pussy I wouldn't have tried it. Naruto thought. Everyone sat down at the table while they waited for Naruto to be done with cooking the meal. There, Naruto said as he took the first few plates to Kiba, Shikamaru and Kakashi. The men looked at the meal and were shocked to see that Naruto had perfectly cooked poached fish with shrimp fried rice with some peppers mixed into it, and loaded potato soup. This isn't poisoned with something else, is it? Kiba asked. Starve if you want, Naruto said as he brought a small plate with chopped beef in it and laid it on the floor. Enjoy Akamaru, Naruto said as the puppy barked, thanking Naruto as he went to the plate and started chowing down. Naruto then grabbed the rest of the plates for the woman as he then appeared next to them. Here you go, beautiful Melorine Tilda, Naruto said with hearts in his eyes as he placed the plates in front of the woman and quickly grabbed and placed fancy dining ware in front of them and then grabbed 3 vases, filled them with water and placed flowers in them as he placed them in front of the girls before dashing away and grabbed candles, placed them in front of the women and lit them. Enjoy, Naruto said with a grin, making Sakura and Hinata blush while Tsunami giggled. That's bull, how come we don't nice atmosphere? Kiba shouted with an anime-style pissed-off look on his face. Quit whining, Naruto said as he headed upstairs. Naruto-kun, aren't you going to eat? Tsuami asked. Maybe later. I'm kinda tired from the training I had earlier this morning, Naruto said as he put his hands in his pocket and headed upstairs. Oh, but before I go, I got to say, Naruto said as he stopped. Suddenly he appeared in front of Hinata and grabbed her hand. Hinata-chan, you've grown so beautiful. I apologize for not noticing your beauty before. You are what many men would gladly call a goddess and I am one of them, Naruto said romantically as he was in his love mode, making Hinata blush red with everyone else, minus Tsunami, to adopt anime-style shocked faces. You are a true angel, Naruto said with a hand over his heart. And if you need anything, just tell me and I will follow your every command, you gorgeous angel. Naruto K-kun, aye. Well, that was more than Hinata could take as her entire face became red as she then fainted onto the floor. Idiot, look what you did, Kiba shouted with an anime-style pissed-off look on his face as he pointed at Naruto's handiwork. Whoops, I guess I came on a little too strong, Naruto said, scratching the back of his head. You baka, Sakura shouted as she clocked Naruto in the face, sending him slamming into the wall. I probably deserved that, Naruto groaned as he was indented into the wall. Well, later, Naruto said as he walked up the stairs. How the hell did he get over there? Kiba, Shikamaru and Sakura questioned with anime-styled faces. That doesn't really matter, Kakashi said, although I wonder the same thing myself. He thought. Let's just dig in, Kakashi said as he grabbed his utensils. What about Hinata? Kiba asked. Naruto-kun, I don't know what to say. Hinata said in her dream with a smile on her face. I'm sure she's fine, Kakashi said waving it off. The Konoha nin then took a bite from the food, Kakashi quicker than the others so they wouldn't see the lower half of his face, only for their eyes to widen in shock. None of the Konoha nin moved for moments, with Kiba dropping a spoon as the only movement that had happened. Oh, my, Kami. This is the best thing I've ever tasted, Kakashi said with wide eyes. While he, Shikamaru and Sakura, Kiba just started chowing down with tears going down his eyes. I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is the best meal I ever had. Damn you Naruto, Kiba exclaimed as he continued to chow down. Why are you even crying? Shikamaru asked. Because he can cook. Do you know how many women back at Konoha love a man who can cook? About 98% of the female population, Kakashi answered. Exactly, that damn blonde, Kiba shouted as he continued to eat. All the while, Sakura stared at the stairs before she continued to eat the meal Naruto made for her. After dinner, Sakura made her way upstairs. What stunk was that she didn't know where Naruto was because since his chakra pathways were gone that means she couldn't sense his chakras since he pretty much didn't have any, but she had a pretty good idea which room he's in. Sakura made it to the door of the room Naruto stayed back when they had their mission here. Sakura took a deep breath and knocked on the door, but there was no answer so she knocked on it again, but still no answer. Sakura's heart started pounding as fear made its way to her heart. Worried if Naruto ran away again, she bashed her way through the door and into the room to see Naruto at the window staring at the sunset. You could have just asked if you could have came in, Naruto said, but then again, it was my fault for not answering after that first knock, so what can I help you with Sakura-chan? I wanted to talk about the letters, Sakura said. Naruto's heart stopped when he heard that. What letters? Naruto asked. The ones that were in your drawer that were addressed to me, Sakura said making Naruto gulp. And you want to kick my ass now? Naruto asked. No, I want to know if what you wrote in there was true, Sakura said as she made her way to him. Naruto turned to her surprised that she would ask that. Yeah, every word, Naruto said as Sakura sat down next to him. And, the compliment about my forehead? Sakura asked. Naruto gathered a great amount of courage as he stared into Sakura's eyes. With all my heart, Naruto said. Sakura, I know you'll never love me like you do Sasuke, but Naruto was suddenly silenced as Sakura pressed her lips against Naruto's. Naruto's eyes widened with utter shock. The moments felt like hours as Naruto felt time slow down as he enjoyed every moment. Sakura then separated from Naruto as she started into his cerulean blue eyes with her shimmering emerald green ones. After a moment of silence, Naruto's nose shot blood as he then fainted as hearts appeared in his eyes. Sakura just looked at Naruto with a surprised look upon her face but then she smiled at him. Perverted baka, Sakura said with a smile. Sakura then helped Naruto onto the bed and then left. Naruto was sleeping in the room with drool going down his mouth. Sakura-chan, Hinata, Ino, Tenten, ladies, calm down, there's enough of Naruto to go around, Naruto said in his dream, but then he sensed a familiar presence that gave him cause for alarm. Naruto opened his eyes and saw something come down on him. Naruto quickly moved away from the attack which broke the bed in two. Naruto looked up see the grinning face of Kisame. Sup kid, Kisame said. Naruto quickly jumped out of the bed and ran out the room. Naruto ran downstairs and grabbed some things before he ran out of the house. Kisame jumped out of the window and saw Naruto running towards the forest. Not this time Gaki, Kisame said as he went through some hand signs. Reikuri, lightning blade. Kisame jumped away as Kakashi almost stabbed him with his jutsu. I didn't expect to face off against another swordsman of the hidden mist in the same place after so long, Kakashi said as he glared at Kisame. Oh that's right, you fought Zabuza here. Poor guy only wanted to get the pain known as the Mizukage's puppets out of his hair, Kisame said as he grinned at Kakashi. And now you're here trying to harm my student, Kakashi said. True, but I guess I could have some fun while Itachi deals with the Gaki. Kisame said with a dangerous grin. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura shouted her sensei's name as her and the other genin showed up. Sakura, you and the others go after Naruto. Now, Kakashi ordered. Kiba and Akamaru then started tracking his scent and then lead the others to where Naruto ran off to. Do you really think you can beat me? Kisame questioned as he still grinned. No, but I'd gladly lay my life on the line for my comrades. Kakashi said as he glared at Kisame. Naruto dashed through the woods as he started thinking what to do next, but then suddenly a swarm of crows flew right through him, making him flinch and block them from hitting his face. Naruto quickly reached into his pocket as Itachi suddenly appeared behind him and grabbed his arm. Naruto quickly took out a packet of pepper and ripped it open with his mouth before he threw it in Itachi's eyes, making him yell out in pain as he grabbed his eyes. Naruto quickly took the chance and stomped on his foot as he also bit his hand, making Itachi release him, allowing Naruto the opportunity to run away. Let's see how good you are when those eyes are blinded by pepper. Naruto shouted as he continued to run as far away from the Uchiha as possible. Blinded by pepper, then have my foot stomped and also having my hand bitten. Nobody would ever let me live this down if word got out. Itachi thought as he reached into his cloak and grabbed a water canteen as he then cleaned his eyes with the water inside. As Naruto continued to run away, he started thinking of what to do. There's nothing I can do. Why do they even want me? I don't have chakra. Unless they found a way to reawaken it. Damn it, now what do I do? Naruto started thinking of ways to stop the Akatsuki from attaining him and the Kyuubi. I can't kill myself, they could still find a way to get the Kyuubi. I have to find a way to make sure the Akatsuki could never get the both of us. Wait, I think I got it. Naruto then dashed for the town as he had an idea of what could trump the Akatsuki from attaining himself and the Kyuubi once and for all. Naruto finally made it to an antique as he then used all his strength to kick the door, slamming it open. Naruto jumped over the cashier counter as he quickly made it to a shelf as he looked around until he found a scroll container with a skull and crossbones on it. There it is, Naruto thought as he grabbed it. As he stared at it, he remembered what the shopkeeper had told him when he first saw it. Why are we in an antique store? Naruto asked as he walked in the local antique store with Tsunami and Inari. I'm hoping to find some things that could really brighten the house. Tsunami said, I'm going to browse around. Please be careful, you two. The things here aren't sturdy like most things in the world. Tsunami said as she left the two to browse the store. Naruto and Inari decided to browse around as well. After a while of looking around, Inari saw a scroll container with a skull and crossbones design on it. Cool, look at that thing, Inari said, pointing at the scroll container. Naruto looked at it with curiosity, wondering what was with the dangerous symbol on it. Can I help you boys? The old shopkeeper asked as he made his way to the boys. Yeah, we were wondering what's with the symbol on that thing? Inari asked as he pointed at the scroll container behind the counter. Oh, that. Well, it's obviously a dangerous relic. The shopkeeper said. How so? Naruto asked, wondering what was the story behind the old relic. You see, inside that container is a scroll that when opened, it sucks in people into a different plane of existence where they can never be found ever again. The old man said. And you keep that around? Naruto questioned with a raised eyebrow. Better with someone who knows the story behind it so no one could be harmed by it. The old shopkeeper said. So whenever somebody opens it they get sucked into a different world? Inari asked again just to be sure he heard him right. Well, yes and no. You see, the scroll only works when blood is placed onto it and it only activates once every year. After someone uses it, it will stay a regular scroll until approximately 1 year has passed. The shopkeeper explained. Whoa tilde. Naruto and Inari awed in amazement at the power of the scroll. Naruto stared at the scroll before he reached into his pocket and took out his Hite-8. I gave up my chakra. I gave up being a shinobi. I gave up my old life. And now I'm going to give up myself completely. I guess there's no limit to what I'll do, whether it's selfish or selfless. Naruto tightened his grip on headband. I guess this is it for me. Naruto thought, but then suddenly a vast body of water hit the antique shop. Naruto swam with the debris until the water left him onto the ground coughing up water. Naruto looked up to see Kisame and Itachi, with the former grinning at him. No more running, brat, this is it. Kisame said. Naruto looked to the side to see the scroll container. "You're damn straight this is it," Naruto shouted as he got up and dived for the scroll container. Naruto grabbed it and quickly opened it to reveal a black scroll. Naruto looked at the two to see that they didn't move a muscle. "Not worried?" Naruto questioned. "You got rid of your chakra with that seal you made, Gaki. We've got no worries," Kisame said with a grin. Naruto glared at the two as he started to unravel the scroll. "What did he say?" Naruto looked up to see Sakura and the other genin with shocked looks upon their faces. "Oh, you didn't know? Well, apparently the little Gaki here was smarter than we thought. He made a seal that completely shut off his chakra pathways that not only rid him of his chakra, but also his connection to the Kyuubi, making him useless to the Akatsuki. At least that was until our own seal master found a way to reawaken his chakra pathways, making him useful again," Kisame explained. "I see." Sakura turned to see Kakashi make his way to her and the genin as he held his left arm that was bleeding with the sleeve covering the arm gone and his scarred eye revealed as it was closed. So Naruto willingly gave up his chakra so the Akatsuki can never get the Kyuubi. Kakashi then stared at Naruto. "Naruto, you made the ultimate sacrifice that I don't even believe any shinobi would willingly do, including myself. Even though you don't have your chakra anymore, you're a true shinobi through and through. And I was honored to be your sensei and leader." Kakashi thought as he actually shed a tear. "Minato sensei. Kushina-sama. You'd be so proud of Naruto, I just know it. Luckily with your chakra pathways shut, we've got nothing to worry about, especially from that scroll," Kisame said with a grin, but then Naruto started to chuckle, which confused everyone. "What's so funny? The situation is hilarious because you don't know the story behind this like I do," Naruto said as he opened the scroll to reveal a giant skull with crossbones. Naruto then bit his thumb as he placed it on the skull. "This scroll doesn't need chakra to power it," Naruto shouted as he spread his blood across the skull and crossbones. Suddenly the scroll lit up and then a light consumed Naruto as he felt his entire body beginning to be sucked into it. "What the hell?" Kisame and Kiba shouted. "This scroll is sending me to a different plane of existence. Once I'm gone, the scroll will be forever useless to you Jinchuriki hunting bastards," Naruto shouted, lying about the scroll never working again so they could never come after him again. "Naruto, no," Sakura shouted as she tried to stop him, but Shikamaru and Kakashi held her back. "Sakura-chan, I'm sorry about this," Naruto said as he smiled at her with a tear going down his eyes. "I love you," and with those final words, Naruto was completely consumed by the light as he was sucked into the scroll. Once Naruto was sucked in, the skull then became white and blank with the blood vanishing as well. Itachi and Kisame made their way towards the scroll. Kisame picked up the scroll as he bit his thumb and smeared the scroll with his blood, but nothing happened. Itachi then activated his Sharingan as he examined the scroll only to see the only trace of chakra on it was Kisame's blood that had some in it. He wasn't lying, the scroll is now useless, Itachi said, deactivating his Sharingan. "Damn, I can't believe that Gaki actually outsmarted us again. We'll be the laughing stock of the Akatsuki once they hear that we got outsmarted by a chakraless dead last Gaki, twice," Kisame complained as he threw away the scroll to the side. "Speak a little louder why don't you?" Itachi said. "Let's just get out of here. As much as I'd like to finish off Sharingan Kakashi and his little team of brats, I think we've actually had enough of our time wasted today," Kisame said. "Agreed," Itachi said, but on the inside he was surprised that Kisame wanted to leave instead of finishing off Kakashi and the genin. The two then vanished with Itachi disappearing in a vanishing flock of crows with Kisame turning into a pool of water. After a few moments of silence, Sakura started walking towards the scroll. Once she was in front of it, she fell to her knees, grabbed it and held it to her heart as she then started to cry. Kakashi made his way towards Sakura and placed his right hand on her shoulder as a sign of comfort. Hinata also cried that Naruto was gone, and as Kiba noticed this, he placed his hand on her back as his own sign of comfort, with Akamaru whining as he jumped down off of Kiba's head and rubbed his head against Hinata's leg. Hinata fell to her knees and hugged Akamaru as she cried. Shikamaru felt tears roll down his eyes. After learning the truth about Naruto weeks ago, he felt sorry for his old friend, but now he knew that Naruto didn't deserve pity, he deserved respect for what he's done. Naruto was willing to sacrifice anything for others, but he never expected the blonde genin to actually give up his shinobi life by ridding himself of his chakra, so a criminal organization who was most likely against the world wouldn't get their hands on a creature to be used as a weapon of mass destruction. Shikamaru knew that from now on this point on, Naruto was not a Dobi, the dead last of Konoha. He was a true shinobi who deserved the title more than anyone for making a sacrifice that he didn't believe the Hokages themselves would do. Sakura continued to cry as she held the scroll. "You baka. I love you too," Sakura thought. She then couldn't contain herself. Sakura shot her head up and screamed. "Naruto!" "Ah!" Naruto screamed as he fell from the sky. "Ways I thought I was going to die. Fall to my death wasn't one of them. Even after Ero Sennin did it to me the first time," Naruto shouted. After what seemed like hours, but was only minutes, Naruto fell into a giant ocean. After a few moments, Naruto arose from the water and took in a huge gulp of air. He then started looking around the big blue body of water. "This is it? This is the plane of existence that the scroll sends you to when activated? To a giant blue ocean?" Naruto said as he noticed that his hair was all wet and down, with his left eye being covered by his hair. Wait, why is my attention on my hair? I'm in the middle of the fucking ocean. This isn't what I expected with a symbol like that on the scroll and its container. That skull and crossbones was false advertising. Naruto shouted, but then he felt something in the water. "Nani?" Naruto questioned. Suddenly a gigantic blue eel with red eyes and a dorsal yellow fin came out of the water and roared as it came down towards Naruto with the intent to eat him. "Not false advertising. Not false advertising. It fits." Naruto screamed as the eel came closer to him, but then the eel was hit with exploding projectiles, making it roar in pain. Naruto turned to see a ship with cannons shooting cannonballs at the creature. After a few more shots, the giant eel decided to leave as it dived into the water and swam away. "Whoa," Naruto said. "Need some help there, kid?" Naruto turned to see a life preserver be tossed next to him. Naruto grabbed onto it as he was then pulled towards the boat. Once he was close to the boat, Naruto was hoisted up into the boat. "Hey kid, are you okay?" A man dressed in a white uniform asked. "Yeah," Naruto said. "Where's this boat headed to?" Naruto asked. "The North Blue. We're actually nearing it. Do you live there?" The man asked. "Yeah, that's my birthplace." Naruto lied. "Well then, you're pretty lucky," the man said with a smile. "So what's your name, kid?" Naruto paused for a moment before he answered. "Sanji. The name's Sanji." Naruto answered. Naruto, or should I say Sanji, saw the man have a pack of cigarettes in his pockets. "Hey," Naruto said, gaining the man's attention. "Toss me one of those cancer sticks," Naruto said with his hand out. That only made the man laugh. "Man, what a jokester," the man said as he laughed. "I like you already, Sanji," the man said, making Sanji grin even though he wasn't joking. And from that moment on, Naruto lived as Sanji, a skilled cook who would be known for his amazing cooking skills and dangerous kicks. Once they reached an island, Sanji explored the island. He thought about what to do now with his life. He could still be a chef, but what dining establishment would let him join? Sanji decided to go into a bookstore and maybe read some books to find out a little more about this new world. Once he made it inside the bookstore, he noticed the designs of fish on the wall, and that made him want to learn about this new world's fish and ways to cook them. Sanji found the section of the store where there were literature about fish and all things related. Sanji took out some books and started to read them, amazed at the things they held, but then he noticed something that caught his undivided attention. The All Blue. Sanji read the word as he saw it. Sanji had read the section of the All Blue in amazement. The All Blue is a mystical sea of legend, rumored to be the only place in the world he was now in where the North, South, East and West seas meet. In this legendary ocean, it is said that there are fish from each of the 4 seas. Naruto's eyes soul-revealed eyes shined as he read more about the All Blue as a new thought came to his mind. This is it. This is my new dream. To see a gorgeous blue ocean that has countless fish with each one tasting absolutely delicious when cooked into a perfect meal. What chef would not desire such a thing? Naruto thought. The blonde then grabbed his necklace as he remembered his old dream. "I'm sorry I let you down, Ba-chan, but I swear on this necklace that I won't walk away from this dream." "Believe it," Naruto thought as he kissed his necklace. After putting the books back, Naruto, Sanji left the store. He would have bought them, but sadly from what he heard, the people of this world's currency is called Baileys and he was pretty sure that Baileys and Ryo were not the same thing. After wandering around for a while, Sanji found a fountain and sat down near it as he looked down at the ground with sad eyes. I'm in a world where I can have a fresh new start, but the only problem is that I don't know where to start. Shit, Naruto, Sanji thought, feeling gloomy. Why so glum, chum? Sanji looked up to see a man in a chef's hat. I don't have any money and I don't know where to start with my new life. Sanji answered, well, that does sound like a pain. The chef said, yeah, Sanji said, but then he realized that he knew how to cook and that he was in front of a man who was most likely a chef if his hat was any red flag if he ever saw one. Hey, are you looking for a chef? Sanji asked. A chef? Well, we do have a number of them already on the ship. The man said, rubbing his chin, but when he saw the melancholic look on the boy's face he decided, what the hell? Then again, we could use a part-time busboy. The man said, lifting the kid's spirits. I'll take it, Sanji said with a grin. Hold on kid, my boss isn't your typical chef. The man said, making Sanji develop a confused look on his face. The man leaned over and whispered to Sanji. He's a pirate captain. Sanji's eye widened at the news. Pirate? Wait. Maybe that's why the scroll had a skull and crossbones. It didn't mean death, it must have meant the symbol for pirates. After realizing what the skull and crossbones insignia on the scroll and its container truly meant, Sanji then developed a steely gaze. I don't care. As long as I get to cook, then that's fine by me. Sanji said. That's good to hear, the chef said with a grin. Follow me then, the chef said as he started leading Sanji towards the ship where he worked. Say, do you know of a place called the All Blue? Sanji asked. The All Blue? Yeah, of course I do. Don't tell me you believe in it, the chef said. Sanji nodded in response. Yep, it's my dream to find it. Sanji exclaimed with a grin as he thrust his fist forward. Believe it? Oh boy, looks like we got another one like TH Captain. The chef thought with a sweat drop expression and smile. You guys know Sanji's past, right? If you do, then good. So you know what happens. If you don't, well then I don't know what to tell ya. Except write a little piece of Sanji's past right now. Weeks after Sanji joined the Cook Pirates, he had met the captain, Zeph, who had short blonde hair that was somewhat unkempt, a braided mustache that he tied with light blue ribbons on each end and a slight stubble, and wore a red and purple horizontal stripped overall, dark pants with a light green sash and a captain's coat draped over his shoulders like a cape, and became the new busboy and part-time chef. As he worked, he continued to dream about the All Blue and what lies in it, and during his time on the ship, his whisker marks had fully disappeared and he decided to keep the new hairstyle he had, keeping his hair brushed down with the left eye cover by some of it. He got into a discussion with other chefs on the ship saying that the All Blue was real, but they thought it didn't, but Sanji wouldn't hear it. No one expected him to be a shinobi in his old world back when he was known as Naruto, but he proved them wrong and he swore that he was going to show people that the All Blue really exists. Even though he had a good time on the ship, learned a few more things about cooking that increased his skill, tragedy struck as a huge storm struck with rapid tidal waves crashing into the boat, breaking it piece by piece. Naruto got unlucky as he was hit by a piece of debris and fell into the ocean, drowning, but fortunately the captain of the Cook Pirates, Zeph, came and saved him from drowning. After waking up on a giant rock, Sanji found himself stuck with Zeph. Zeph gave him his share of food, which was a decent size inside a bag, while Zeph's share was a HGE bag which irritated Sanji. After days on the rock, Sanji finished his bag of food and he looked like hell. He looked like a dirty and skinny rag dog. Sanji then decided to steal some of Zeph's food, but as he went to the giant bag and cut it with a knife, he had discovered that the giant bag was filled with gold and no traces of food, which could only one thing. Zeph had given him all the food he was able to find. Sanji wondered why he would do such a thing, and then when he walked over to Zeph, he had learned that he had sacrificed his right foot, most likely to save his life. Naruto was confused. He asked why would he go so far for him, a kid who was a minor worker on his now destroyed ship back when it was still in one piece. Zeph had told him that it was because he shared the same dream as him, the All Blue. Members of his now old crew had said that it was a myth, but he knew it was true. He might not be able to see it anymore, but he knew Sanji would and he trusted him with that. Sanji, Naruto then started to shed tears. Zeph had given up his life as a pirate to save and protect him. It was sort of like how he gave up his chakra pathways to protect those who would be harmed by the Akatsuki and their ambitions if they had gotten the Kyuubi. He felt like he now found a kindred spirit within Zeph and it actually felt kind of good about it. Sanji then figured that if this rock he was sitting on would be his grave, that someone from this world deserved to know his true origins, so he told Zeph his entire story. Another world, huh? Zeph said. Yeah, I know it's crazy. Sanji said. Actually, I think I heard of a scroll a lot like that one you mentioned. Zeph said, making Sanji look at him with shock. Except I heard that it was all white with a symbol of a ninja mask with the kanji for shinobi on the forehead of the mask. Seriously? Do you know where it is? Sanji asked. I think I heard somewhere that the Marines have it, most likely in Marine HQ. Zeph said. Oh, Sanji said. After living in this new world for almost a month, Sanji had learned that the men in white uniforms who saved him from the giant eel, that was known as a Aat King, were Marines. Even though Sanji asked about where the scroll was located, he didn't want to go back because of the fear of the Akatsuki capturing him. He just wanted to know where it could be in case for Kami knows what. Sanji decided to change the subject. So, just wondering, what do you plan on doing with that gold if we get out of here? Sanji asked. When we get out of here, I plan on using this junk to buy an ocean-going restaurant. Zeph said. A what? Sanji asked, not knowing what that is. A large ship that's also a restaurant. Zeph said. Cool. Sanji exclaimed with a grin, but as he saw that Zeph's face still remained neutral, he decided to cool it down. I mean, that sounds nice. Sanji said. You mean cool? Your enthusiasm before was what I expected from you, kid. Zeph said with his face still remaining the same. Sanji looked at Zeph with surprise before he smiled. Captain Zeph. Just Zeph for now, Gaki, I ain't a captain anymore. Zeph said. I was wondering if you wanted a little help when we finally get out of here. Sanji said. I don't need a Gaki's help. Zeph said, making Sanji feel gloomy. I need a man's help. Are you a man? Zeph said, looking at Sanji. Sanji looked at Zeph with wide eyes before he adopted a determined look as he stood up. You bet, old man. Sanji shouted with determination, making Zeph chuckle with a smile. Just my luck, I get stuck with a hyperactive knucklehead chef. Zeph said with a smile. You're damn straight you do. Believe it, Sanji shouted with a huge grin as he thrust his fist forward, making Zeph chuckle again. Lucky for the two, a ship had found them, and with the gold they had, the two started to reach their new goal of gaining an ocean-going restaurant that Zeph wants to call Barati. Sanji had a new purpose in life, but as we all know, life is an unpredictable mistress that always throws something new at you that can change your entire life. Out on the seas of a place called East Blue, a large ship that was also a restaurant was floating on the waters. It was oval-shaped, with normal masts, but has a fish as a front piece, head. It has a round bottom, a small array of cannons are lined on the sides, which were most likely for combat instead of decoration. The ship was the Barati, a 4-star restaurant which served meals to all, rich or poor. It did not matter, for the workers of the Barati were glad to serve any and all, but if they didn't pay and planned to bail, well, let's just say that the staff seriously does not like that idea. Inside, people were enjoying their delicious meals on beautiful-looking tables with fine dining ware. The decor, design and atmosphere of the restaurant was simply incredible and awe-inspiring. At a certain table, an average-sized man with well-combed light purple hair, a scar under his right eye and bolts attached to his knuckles, wearing a pinstripe suit, was having soup with a beautiful, slim blonde woman wearing a red-violet dress. You're famous, everybody here is looking at you. The woman said. No, you're wrong. They're all admiring you, said the man. The man was known as Full Body, a Marine lieutenant who can be quite arrogant and considers himself a ladies' man. The two gentle tapped their glasses against each other's as they then took a sip of their wine. Next to the two was a man dressed in a black, double-breasted suit with a tie and a long-sleeved, blue-colored pinstriped buttoned shirt. He was holding a glass of wine that was covered in a white cloth that he had poured earlier for the couple. Full Body looked at his drink after sipping it as he then developed a smug smile. So good, Full Body said as he lifted his hand as a sign for the well-dressed man's attention. This flavor. Full Body said with a smile as he then smelled the wine's aroma. And yes, the aroma. Everyone then had their attention on Full Body. It is the unmistakable scent from the soil of Miketh, the Northland. Bitter with plenty of body and just a tad sour. This wine must be the famous, Ichi Roots Burgerstein. Full Body announced with confidence as he felt so sure of his deduction. The man then gently slammed the bottle on the table. Tell me, waiter, am I right? Full Body asked with confidence. The man then pulled away the cloth to reveal a different name on the bottle. The man said as he tightly grabbed Full Body's wrist. Not even close, sir. The man said shocking Full Body, who started to sweat. The man then put a spoon in Full Body's hand and closed his fingers around the spoon so he could hold it tightly so he could enjoy the soup that was in front of him. Eat up. This dish is best when hot. The well-dressed waiter said as he turned and left the still shocked Full Body and his date, who looked at him. As he walked away, the waiter then stopped halfway and slightly turned his head towards Full Body. And sir, my name's Sanji, I'm the sous chef. Sanji said before he looked star-eyed ahead and continued to walk away. All the waiters ran off as of yesterday. Sanji said as he headed straight back towards the kitchen. Full Body's date giggled as she then took a sip of the wine, but everyone else giggled and chuckled at Full Body's false assumption. Full Body dipped the spoon into his soup as he glared at it while he heard the other people poke fun at him with their forms of laughter. We really shouldn't laugh, a random man said. I can't help it, he looked too confident. A random woman said. Their words made Full Body's glare become even more intense. Do you know a lot about wine? Full Body's date rhetorically asked. Oh yes, I thought, but it seems my sense of taste isn't working today. Full Body said with a forced smile, but it fell as his date giggled at him. What's going on? I'm certain I requested that the owner serve that particular wine when I made this reservation. Full Body thought as his eyesight turned to see Sanji walking upstairs into the kitchen, leaving the dining floor. Once Sanji made it to the kitchen, he went towards the bathroom to wash his hands from touching that smug jerk's hands. So you sent him the wrong wine. Sanji turned his head so his soul-revealing eye could see the head chef and owner of the Bharati, Chef Zeph, looking at him. Zeph now wears chef's uniform with blue ascot with a purple and orange horizontal shirt hidden behind it, white apron and an extra long chef's hat. He let his mustache grow longer and grew a beard. He also had a peg leg to replace the foot he lost all those years ago. Sorry for disobeying orders, old man, but I don't like it when smug people who like to feel superior to others get their way. Sanji said. Is this coming from Sanji or Naruto? Zeph asked. Sanji smirked at his question. Both. Sanji, Naruto said as he then entered the bathroom and started washing his hands. Once he was done, he looked at his reflection in the mirror. To this day Sanji was still shocked at his transformation from an orange-clad little dead last Gaki who was a real baka into a tall, long-legged, well-dressed sous chef with some fuzz at his chin who some girls admitted was very handsome. Damn, I can't believe how much I've changed in less than 6 years. Ba-chan, Ero Senin, Kakashi-sensei. Sakura-chan, if you guys could see me now. Sanji thought with a sad smile as he fixed his tie. I'll admit, I surprisingly do like the classy look. Sanji said with a grin. Well, better head out. The life of a sous chef isn't easy. Sanji said as he left the bathroom, but he had the strangest feeling that today was going to be something else. Something else was right. How did I get here? Sanji questioned within his head as he looked up into the bright, blue sky. First, that idiot from earlier who wanted that Burgerstein wine causes a ruckus that lead to Sanji beating the hell out of him. A cannonball comes crashing through the roof. An idiot with a straw hat who was responsible for the hole in the roof made a deal to be the chore boy for the ship to pay off the damages. Apparently he was a pirate captain. And a really dumb one at that, of a crew that had a swordsman whose personality and snide remarks pissed him off. A big-talking coward whose weapon of choice was a slingshot, and a gorgeous young woman who made Sanji's heart pound with love. Like every other attractive woman in the world does to him. A starving pirate he pitied and fed a meal to without anyone else knowing had told his boss about Bharati, leading to the pirate's boss, Don Krieg, to try and take over the Bharati with his armored-up crew, leading to an all-out brawl. Chore boy beats the hell out of him, saving Bharati. Oh, and he also forgot. The Baka captain asked him to be a part of his pirate crew. At first Sanji declined because he knew the life of a pirate was one of a criminal, Sure, it sounded exciting, and the Straw Hat Captain and his crew didn't seem that bad, but he was once a shinobi who protected people and stopped criminals, so it was kind of a difficult thing to think over with his conscience. Oh, and let's not forget that pirates and ninjas are mortal enemies, so that just made the decision even more of a pain to think over. But in the end, Sanji decided, what the hell, and decided to join the Straw Hats' pirate crew. During the invasion, Sanji shouted that he would give his life for everything Zeph had done for him, but the Straw Hat Captain scolded him and told him that the old man went so far for him so he could do something with his life. When the Sea Captain said those words, and with the look he gave him, Sanji's soul eye widened as he saw an image of his old self, Naruto Uzumaki, whipping the Straw Hat pirate. When he saw that and listened to the Straw Hat's words, he felt like he wanted to follow the young man to the ends of the earth. After Straw Hat defeated Don Krieg, Sanji had made his decision and told the Straw Hat pirate that he'd join his pirate crew and be their new chef. When he saw the Straw Hat Baka pirate celebrate like a little kid, he couldn't help but smile as he saw a young version of himself. Sanji said his goodbyes before he started to leave, but not before Patty and Carne tried to beat him before he left to get some payback for him being a pain in the ass. But Sanji was taught how to fight with his legs thanks to Zeph's mentoring, as he then used his deadly and powerful Kuroashi no Vaza, black leg technique, and beat the hell out of them. Right before he left, Zeph told Sanji good luck on his trip, which was the final straw, as Sanji bowed to him with respect and thanks as he thanked the old geezer and that he would miss him with tears running down his eyes. Suddenly Zeph started to cry, along with Patty and Carne, who both shouted that they'd miss him, which then led to the rest of the staff crying for Sanji's departure. Sanji was shocked. Never would he ever have thought he'd ever hear people that he once believed thought of him as an annoyance to actually cry that he would be leaving and say that they would miss him. Sanji cried tears of sadness and joy at this. He now knew that this world was his home now, and he was proud of it. Now he was riding his personal boat towards wherever the other 3 crewmates had left to, since the female took their ship and the captain told the swordsman and coward to go after her to make sure that she was safe, while he stayed and helped him defend Baratie, with his new captain named Monkey D. Luffy and a friend of the swordsman's, Yosaku. While the two talked, Sanji reached into his pocket and took out his necklace that was given to him by his grandma. First a shinobi, then a chef, now a pirate. I don't know what you'd think, but I hope that you'd still be proud of me for what I've achieved and accomplished so far, Ba-chan. Sanji softly said as he stared at the necklace. What was that, Sanji? Luffy asked as he and Yosaku looked at him. Nothing, just talking to myself, Sanji said with a smile as he put away his necklace. That's weird, Luffy said. I don't want to hear that coming from you, Rubberman, Sanji yelled, making Luffy and Yosaku laugh. Sanji sighed as he sat back and looked up at the sky with a thought in his head. Kami only knows where my life will take me now. Years have passed since the day Sanji had departed from Baratie, and he loved it. He went on many adventures, defeated many opponents, became stronger along the way, and of course met many gorgeous and beautiful women. Sanji now had a bounty 77 million Baileys, which was a hell of a lot of currency. Sanji, along with Luffy and Zoro, the crew's swordsman and first mate, had been dubbed the Monster Trio for their monstrous strength and use over haki, which is a mysterious power that is found in every living being in the world. It was pretty much the pirate world's version of Chakra. Sanji had become a master of the Kuroashi no Vaza and has reached a level that he felt that he could actually defeat Lee and Neji. Hell, he even felt he could beat Kakashi and Guy, maybe even Tsunade and Jiraiya. Sanji had become a notorious pirate for the incident of Enies Lobby, where he and the crew tried to save the Straw Hat Pirates archaeologist, Nico Robin, from the deadly CP9, a faction of powerful fighters who worked for the world government, but not before burning down their flag, which was basically declaring war against the world government. It was all worth it to save Robin, even though the world thought of him as a deadly pirate that will kill anyone on sight. In truth, he was a good-hearted man who was a professional chef and a man who loved the ladies and would beat any man who he saw would try to go against any woman or insult his cooking. Sanji loved his life as a pirate and he never regretted his decision, but as for his old life as a shinobi, let's just say, even when your life presently is a good one that you love, your past can catch up to you whether you want it to or not. Sanji was sleeping in a bed as he dreamed about whatever he was dreaming about. Sanji had changed his hairstyle over the years, as now his right eye was covered instead of his left, which now revealed his eyebrows spiral, which was at the inner end instead of the outer like his other, and now his hair was less straight, more scruffier and slightly longer. He also sports a dark goatee and stubble on his upper lip. Sanji was now more muscular, yet was still a bit slim. Sanji had suddenly sat up from his bed with his soul-revealed eye widened. He blinked his eyes as he looked around the room. Sanji placed his feet on the floor as he looked around the room. Since when did I get my own room? Sanji questioned within his mind. Sanji sighed as he stood up, his torso revealed as the moon's light danced off of it. Sanji then heard a knock on the door as he headed towards there. Why does this feel eerily familiar? Sanji thought. As he opened the door, his eyes widened when he saw two familiar faces. Sup Gaki, did you miss us? Kisame said with his shark-like grin while Itachi's eyes glowed red from his Sharingan. Sanji was frozen with fear as he stared at the two with sweat pouring down his head. Nighty-night, Kisame said as he then swung Samahata at Sanji. Sanji quickly sat up from his bunk bed as he started panting with sweat pouring down his brow. Sanji placed a hand over his face as he tried to ease his breathing. Damn, was a fucking nightmare. Sanji thought as he tried to breathe easy to slow down his pounding heart. What's with you? Sanji turned his head slightly towards Zoro, who had noticed his awakening. It's nothing important, I just had a nightmare. Sanji said, placing his hand on his lap. Whatever, just keep it down next time, I'm trying to sleep. Zoro said. Fuck you too, shitty Marimo. Sanji said as he got out of his bunk bed, which was one of the lower ones, and put on his suit, with the coat being open, with his tie undone and wrapped over his neck and his shirt opened a bit where it stopped at the middle of his chest. Sanji then left the room so he could get some air. Weird arrow cook. Zoro mumbled before he closed his soul eye and went to bed. You all know what the Straw Hat Pirates look like after the time skip, so I'm not bothering with telling their description. But for those who still haven't seen their new look, then look it up on either Google or the One Piece Wikia. Sanji leaned onto the railing as he stared into the night sky with the moon shining bright and the waters being a darker shade of blue as they moved a little more rapidly than usual. Sanji thought over the dream he had about those whack job missing ninjas Itachi and Kisame. He hadn't had a dream related to the shinobi world since he was a teenager. Why did it turn up now? Sanji then decided to take out a cigarette, but before he could reach into his pocket, he heard a familiar beautiful voice. Couldn't sleep? Sanji turned his head slightly to see Robin smiling at him. Oh, hey Robin Schwan. Sanji greeted her nonchalantly as he looked back towards the ocean. Robin had a small frown on her face. Obviously there was something wrong with him since he didn't greet her in his infamous love mode, and wasn't swooning over her. Something on your mind? Robin asked rhetorically. How'd you guess? Sanji asked. Well, for one, you don't have hearts for eyes. Robin said with a small smile. Oh, Sanji said, realizing she was right. I mean, Robin Schwantilda, your caring for me makes me love you so much. Sanji exclaimed as his eyes changed into hearts and with a huge grin on his face. Robin looked at him for a moment before she replied. Sanji, what happened? Robin asked. Sanji just sighed as he exited his love mode. I just had a nightmare. Sanji said as he leaned onto the railing again and looking into the dark blue ocean. A really scary one, Sanji said as he stared into the night. Really? Robin said as she walked up next to him. Do you wish to talk about it? Nah, it's kind of a personal thing. It's about my past, Sanji said as Robin stared at him. Suddenly Sanji started to remember his past back when he was Uzumaki Naruto. A past filled with fear, and as a child I was a symbol for my villagers' hatred. Treated like a disease, feeling lonely all the time. Parents telling their kids to stay away from me. Kids my age making fun of me. Me being hunted down and beaten. Hunted by a bastardized organization that wanted something I held that was considered dark and powerful. Just a child who was given a burden to bear that he never wanted to have to begin with. Sanji said as he got lost in thought. Sanji then suddenly noticed that Robin was looking at him with shock. It's nothing, I'm just babbling about some stupid stuff. Anyway, what are you doing here? Sanji asked, changing the subject. Robin continued to look at him with shock for a moment before she managed to shake herself out of her shock and smile at him. I was just having some late night reading, Robin said with her usual smile and closed eyes. Shouldn't have expected anything else from the world's smartest woman, Sanji said with a smile. His compliment actually got Robin to develop a tint of pink on her cheeks. Wait, is that a blush? Sanji asked with a surprised look on his face. Oh, Robin touched her cheek to feel the sudden heat. I guess it is, she said with a smile. Well, that's a new record for me, Sanji said with a smile. Really? Yeah, you're the first girl I've ever made blush in this world, Sanji said as he and Robin shared a laugh. Sanji then smiled at her before he looked back at the sea. You know, I never had a conversation like this in a long time with a woman, Sanji said, surprising Robin again. Really? Sanji said with a nod. This is the first normal conversation I've ever had with a woman since I was 12. 9 years? That's a very long time, Robin said. I know, Sanji said. Robin then leaned on the railing next to Sanji. So what have you been reading? Sanji asked. A very interesting book, Robin said, still smiling. Sounds interesting. What's it about? Shinobi, Robin answered, making Sanji's eye widen. Shinobi. That is interesting, Sanji said with a smile. Robin said with a nod. So what did you learn so far? Sanji asked. Well, besides the usual weaponry of kunai and shuriken and their trapping skills, I did learn that they made a special way to utilize paper tags, Robin said. Oh, like a paper bomb tag, Sanji said, the first thought that came to his mind. A what? Robin questioned, making Sanji realize his mistake. Oh, well, you see, shinobi actually make different things with paper tags. One of the uses was making a bomb out of them, Sanji said. Originally he was going to tell Robin it was nothing, but of course she would be too smart for that, so he decided to tell her a little fact that he knew from his old world. Really? Robin said, very interested in the new fact. Sanji said with a nod. If you don't mind me asking, Sanji, but how do you know such a thing? Robin asked. Sanji quickly came up with the most believable lie he could tell her. When I was young, I used to read books and other things about shinobi, Sanji said. I see, and do you know anything else? Robin asked. Well, I do know that there are different class of shinobi, Sanji said. Different class? Robin questioned. You see, shinobi aren't just assassins, but there are types like guardians who protect clients, supplies, etc. Intelligence gathering and recon who gather intel from other enemy shinobi and villages. Torture and interrogation, I'm pretty sure you can guess what that's about. And medical shinobi who heal their injured shinobi and kunoichi, Sanji explained. Really? Robin said, being interested in the cook's words. Yeah, and that's only a few, but there are also rankings. Rankings? Yeah, you see, first there are shinobi in training who go to the academy at their home villages, usually starting at the age of 5, after performing an exam given to them by their homeroom teacher, where they either fail or pass. The ones who pass are given a Hite 8, but if they fail they go back to the academy. The ones that pass are then put into a 3-man squad, which usually consists of 2 shinobi males and 1 kunoichi. They are then given a Jonin sensei who gives them a test, like the exam given to them by the academy. If they fail they get sent back and have to go through another semester at the academy, but those who pass are officially made into a genin. Genin? Robin questioned. Yep, genin are the lowest rank of official shinobi. To get promoted they have to either pass another exam to prove themselves worthy of the next ranking or get promoted by the village leader themselves. It goes by genin, who usually take on small missions known as D ranks that are basically favors asked by the villagers of their home to be done for them. Sort of like chores, Robin said. Exactly. Finally someone agrees with me, Sanji exclaimed, happy that someone else found those boring so-called mission to really be chores. This made Robin blink in confusion, which made Sanji blush at his mistake as he then cleared his throat and acted cool again. I got into an argument with another person about that little thing back at North Blue, Sanji said, making Robin giggle. Anyway, sometimes genin are lucky and take on C-rank missions that usually have to do with escorting someone or cargo and protecting them from bandits or any other kind of opposing force. The next level is chunin, who go on C rank, B rank and sometimes A rank missions. They can also be academy teachers. The next rank are jonin, the best there are. They take on B rank, A rank, and sometimes even deadly S rank missions. There are also special jonins who deal in different occupations than regular jonin, as the specials known as Tokubetsu Jonin are usually dealing in personal teaching, the T&I department, which is short for the Torture and Interrogation Department, and many other things really. Then there are a special group called Anbu, who normally do S-rank missions, protect the village leader, defend their villages from being invaded. There are also a different branch called Hunter Nin that go after shinobi who have abandoned their villages so they could kill them. They usually decapitate their targets and burn the body. Sanji explained. But why? Robin asked. You see, a shinobi's body holds many things, dead or alive, and they could give another enemy shinobi and or village secrets from the missing Nin's home village that could be used against them or other villages, so they hunt them down so that enemy shinobi and villages can never attain those secrets. Sanji explained. I see. Then there are the best of the best, the Kage, who are a selected shinobi who become the leader of the village. They are usually respected and loved by their fellow villagers, and they are usually the most powerful shinobi in the village. You don't mess with a Kage, Sanji explained, remembering how he used to dream about being the Hokage of Konoha. Robin looked at Sanji in a whole new light, shocked that he knew so much of the mortal enemy of pirates that he could be defined as an expert. Sanji, do you mind telling me more? Robin asked. Huh? You want to talk to me more about my knowledge of shinobi? Sanji questioned, getting a small grin and small nod from Robin. It shocked him, but he then got his old trademark grin that he hadn't had in a long time. Sure, Robin Schwan, I'd love to, Sanji said, scratching the back of his head as he grinned. Robin laughed at his expression as it kind of reminded her of Luffy's. How about we discuss things in the kitchen? Robin suggested. Sure, I'll make us some cocoa, it sure is chilly out, Sanji said. That sounds lovely, Robin said with a smile. The two then went to the kitchen and discussed more about Sanji's knowledge of shinobi and their lives. Through the whole night the two discussed the topic of shinobi, and the two enjoyed, if not loved, every minute of it. Morning then came and the rest of the Straw Hat woke up and headed to the kitchen, with the captain of course excited for breakfast. Sanji, I need meat, Luffy shouted as he came through the kitchen door, only to see Robin and Sanji at the table talking with empty mugs next to them. So you see, Sanji grabbed a napkin and clicked a pen in his hand, making it bring out its point. Shinobi make special seals that do different things. Sanji then started to make a seal on the napkin. This for instance is a storage seal, a low-level but handy seal that Chunin and higher-ranking shinobi know that helps them put items, supplies, survival gear and sometimes living or deceased human beings inside of them. Sanji explained as he finished and showed Robin the seal he had created. Impressive, Robin said as she took the napkin and examined the seal. What the hell? Zoro said, making Sanji and Robin turn to see the rest of the crew, who were surprised that the two were having a discussion where Sanji didn't swoon over Robin. Well, except for Luffy. He was just confused why Sanji wasn't cooking. Bekwase the chef was usually the first one up, cooking everyone breakfast. Oh, hey shitheads, Sanji said nonchalantly until his eyes fell on Naim and Nami Swan Tilda. Sanji greeted the ship's navigator as he went into his infamous love mode, making Robin giggle. Were you two just talking like regular people? Usopp, the crew's professional sniper, questioned, still in shock. Yeah, why the hell wouldn't we? Sanji questioned with a raised eyebrow indicating his confusion. Does being an arrow cook ring a bell? Zoro said with his arms crossed. Fuck you, shitty Marimo. Sanji cursed at him. Sanji tilde I want meat tilde, Luffy whined. Fine, I'll start cooking, Sanji said as he grabbed his and Robin's empty mugs and placed them in the sink to be washed before he fetched the ingredients. So what were you two talking about? Nami asked as she and the rest of the crew sat down at the dining table. We were actually having an intelligent discussion about shinobi, Robin said with a smile. Ninjas, cool. Luffy and Chopper, the crew's doctor who was also a humanoid reindeer who was small and adorable, exclaimed with their eyes twinkling like stars. Sanji actually knows a great amount of knowledge about shinobi. We actually have been talking all night, Robin said with a smile. And he didn't go all love mode on you? Nami asked, getting a nod from Robin in confirmation. Wow, I'm shocked. So what's this then? Frankie, the crew's shipwright who was a giant mechanized cyborg, asked as he grabbed the napkin that had a seal drawn on it. Oh, that's a storage seal, Robin answered. A what? Usopp asked. It's a special seal that shinobi used to place items and much more inside it, Robin clarified. How can it do that? Brooke, the crew's musician who was also a living skeleton with an afro, asked. Hockey, duh, Usopp said. Actually Sanji told me that shinobi use a different type of energy called chakra. Robin said. Chakra? Nami questioned. It's the molding of the physical energy present in every cell of the body and spiritual energy gained from the mind. Shinobi use it to perform techniques. Basically it's their version of hockey. Sanji explained as he cooked the meat for Luffy while he kept an eye on the real breakfast like the flapjacks, toast, eggs, etc. How the hell do you know so much? Zoro asked. I read a lot of books on this stuff back home. Sanji answered. He didn't really lie, he did start reading more books on the shinobi arts thanks to Jiraiya back in his home world. Wow, so you're like an expert of ninjas, Sanji? Chopper asked with amazement. Yes he is. Robin answered for him. Oh Robin Schwan, it means so much that you'd think of me so highly tilde, Sanji said in his love mode, but then he immediately went back to the task at hand, which was cooking breakfast. Whoa, Luffy, Usopp and Chopped exclaimed with starry eyes. Sanji, what else do you know? Usopp asked excitedly. Were there any legendary ninjas? Chopper asked bursting with excitement. What awesome techniques can ninjas do? Luffy asked with excitement as well. Calm down you three, Sanji needs to focus or you'll make him burn our food. Nami said, scolding them. Not really possible, Sanji thought. Ah tilde, come on tilde, just tell us one technique ninjas can do tilde, Luffy whined. Sanji thought about it as he remembered an old jutsu he used to do. Alright, but just one, Sanji said with a grin as Luffy, Chopper and Usopp leaned in with excitement written all over their faces. Kage Bushin no Jutsu. Shadow clone technique, Sanji answered still grinning. Whoa, what's that? Luffy, Chopper and Usopp asked with awe and starry eyes. It's a technique where the user can create an exact copy or copies of himself. Basically you make more of yourself. Sanji explained. Whoa, so cool. Luffy, Chopper and Usopp exclaimed with their eyes still shining like stars. Yeah, it is pretty damn cool, Sanji said as he remembered back when he used the technique and pretty much abused the hell out of it. Good times, Sanji thought before he went back to cooking breakfast. After breakfast, Sanji cleaned the dishes while everyone did their thing. After he was done, he decided to have a smoke, so he took out his box of cigarettes, took a cigarette out, placed the butt in his mouth and lit up the other end. Once lit, he inhaled the dark vapor and exhaled smoke. His talk with Robin made him remember the good times he had when he was still a shinobi. He remembered all his adventures, the fights against powerful opponents and the people he found precious. He remembered Kakashi, Tsunade, Jiraiya, Shizune, the others, even the Sandaime Hokage. His thoughts then went to his old best friend and greatest rival, Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke was out there somewhere in the world of shinobi. What he was doing, only Kami and residents of the shinobi world know. He would have done anything to bring Sasuke back to Konoha and out of the darkness, back to their old friends, back to Sakura. Sakura-chan, Sanji said remembering the gorgeous Pinkette Kunoichi. What I'd give to be with you. By your side. Your gorgeous emerald eyes that I could get lost in. Your beautiful pink silk-like hair that I would feel a tingling sensation at the ends of my fingertips when I touch it. Your lovely soft skin. Your unbelievably incredible smile that would brighten my day from one glimpse of it. And of course that wide and charming forehead that urges my lips to inch closer and kiss it. What I'd give to have you in front of me, my true love. Sanji said as he then blew smoke out from between his lips. Sanji, who's Sakura? Sanji's visible eye darted to the side to see Luffy looking at him. What the hell are you dojing in here? Sanji shouted with an anime-style pissed-off face as he bit into his cigarette. We found an island. I had to come and tell you. Hurry up ADN, join us outside. Luffy shouted with excitement and his trademark huge grin before he ran outside. Sanji noticed Nami in the kitchen too as Luffy ran past her. Hello Nami Swan tilde. Sanji greeted her in his love mode. This Sakura. She sounds like she meant a lot to you. Nami said, shocking Sanji out of his love mode as he then developed a sad look in his eyes. Yeah, she was first love. Sanji admitted as he took his bitten cigarette and pressed it into the ashtray. Love, huh? As in actual love? Nami asked. Of course actual love. Why you don't think I actually feel real love for others? No, it's just... The way you mentioned her features. It sounded like you were head over heels in love with her and that you would gladly die for her. Nami said. Sanji then chuckled. That's pretty much how much I had fallen for her. Sanji said as he took out another cigarette and placed the butt in his mouth. Whatever happened to the two of you? Nami asked. Sanji lit his cigarette as he made his way towards the door. As Sanji was right next to her, he took a deep breath from the cancer stick, took the cigarette out of his mouth and exhaled the smoke from between his lips. We had to say goodbye. Sanji simply said as he then left the kitchen. Nami felt kind of sorry for Sanji. He had been acting strangely lately, acting less like, well, Sanji. She didn't want to pry on the subject anymore, so she left the kitchen as well and met with the crew as they all stared at the new island. So what island is this? Luffy asked with excitement. Sanji took a deep breath of his cigarette smoke and then blew out the smoke as he took the cigarette out of his mouth. Guess we'll just have to wait and see. Sanji simply said with a smile, wondering what new experience he'll meet on this unknown island. Radiant City? Luffy repeated the huge city's name from the huge sign that was near the docks where they parked the Thousand Sunny. What's that? Luffy asked with confusion. Suddenly they heard Nami squeal like a schoolgirl. No way. I've heard of this place. It is a place of fun with so many places to shop, amazing restaurants, beautiful and romantic places and landscapes and an amusement park. Nami said with sparkling eyes. Damn, they couldn't decide on just one thing? Zoro said. Hey look. Chopper pointed to a giant banner that said, Firewall Festival. Apparently they're having a festival here too. Chopper said. Sanji stared at the banner with wide eyes before he softly smiled as he remembered something the Sandaime told him about. The Will of Fire. Sanji said. Huh? Will of Fire? What's that, Sanji? Chopper asked. Oh, it's a powerful determination and hope inside of people from a certain place. Sanji answered as he continued to look at the banner. Another shinobi thing? Zoro questioned. Maybe not. Sanji said, shrugging his shoulders. Why can't I stop saying things from my past aloud for all to hear? A festival always means food. Let's go. Luffy shouted as he jumped off the ship and ran straight into the city. Usopp, you should go after him. Sanji said. Why me? Usopp questioned. Because the Marimo sucks at directions and we all need to acquire supplies. Sanji said, making Zoro grow a tick mark from his remark about his direction skills. He's right, I need to buy new medicine and maybe some new equipment. Chopper said as he transformed into his heavy point and jumped off the ship as he headed straight for the city. And I could probably find some new parts for me in the Sunny. Super. Frankie exclaimed with a grin as he jumped down off the Sunny and headed straight for the city with the others following. Don't worry, Usopp-san. If your concern is feeling alone without someone else besides Luffy-san, then I can accompany you with babysitting our captain. Brook offered. If anyone asks what's with you being a skeleton, just say it's a costume. Sanji said. Why? Brook asked. Just in case there are any kids around, don't want to scar them for life. Sanji said. He makes a good point. Robin agreed with a smile. Understood. Brook said. Come on Brook, we better find Luffy and quick before he eats the entire city's meat supply. Usopp said as he and Brook ran off to find Luffy. Zoro then started heading towards wherever his legs took him. Where are you going, Marimo? Sanji asked. None of your business, Zoro said as he continued to walk away. Sanji growled at the swordsman attitude while Robin giggled at it. Don't worry, I'll go with him so he doesn't get lost. Robin said. Arigato Robin Schwan tilde. Sanji thanked her in his love mode as she went after the swordsman. Sanji then dug into his pocket to check how much Bailey's he had so he could buy some ingredients for him to cook for their travels. Seeing he was a little short on cash, he had decided to ask Nami at the risk of raising his debt. Hey, Nami Swan tilde, you know I don't like asking you for Bailey's, but you need some for some supplies? I understand, Nami said. You do? Sanji questioned. Yeah, food is important. Nami said, shrugging her shoulder as she gave Sanji some Bailey's. Thank you Nami Swan tilde, this means so much. Sanji thanked Nami as he went into love mode again. It's no problem Sanji, now just go get the food before I make you pay interest. Nami said. Thank you Nami Swan tilde, Sanji said as he then ran straight into town. Nami sighed as she watched Sanji dash into the city. The things I let slide just to make people happy. Sanji was amazed at the Gorguo city. It looked like a mix of a modern city with a tradition Japanese city, and because of the festival, there were lanterns and other decorations everywhere. He knew that when the night comes, this place was going to light up with beauty. Because of his lack of attention to what was in front of him, Sanji bumped into someone, knocking them down. Sanji looked down to see a short old woman wearing a hooded cloak with the hood hiding most of her face. She groaned, making Sanji feel guilty, as he then bent down and offered her his hand. "My sincere apologies, miss, I should have paid more attention to what was in front of me." Sanji apologized as she grabbed his hand and then helped her up. "Oh, don't worry, Sonny, and you really should call me miss since I'm not so young anymore," the old woman said. "Please miss, you're never too old to accept such a sincere compliment that remains true," Sanji said with a bow, making the old woman giggle. "Oh, you're sweet," the old woman said. "Before I leave, do you need any assistance with anything?" Sanji asked. "Are you asking me this because of my age?" the woman asked. "Miss, I only ask because I can't go without asking a woman if she needs anything, it's kind of like my nature," Sanji said with a small smile. "Oh, Tilda's such a nice boy. Well, since you asked, I did leave my purse back home over the hill, but I do not wish to ask you for money." "Say no more, miss, I shall escort you back to your home so you may retrieve your purse," Sanji said with a gentleman's bow. "Thank you so much. I just hope my old tired legs can keep up with you," the old woman said, looking at her small feet. "Allow me," Sanji said as he bent down and offered the old woman a piggyback ride. The old woman smiled at his kind gesture as she got onto his back. Once she was safely secured, Sanji rose up and listened to the woman's directions as he took her towards her home. "Wow, I didn't expect your home to be so far," Sanji said as he was nearing the old woman's house with said woman still safely on his back. "I apologize for the trouble," the old woman said. "Don't be, I'm happy to help," Sanji said with a smile. Once they arrived at her home, Sanji let her down so she may enter her home and retrieve her purse. Once she returned, Sanji bowed to her and asked, "Would the lovely lady like a ride back to town?" The old woman giggled at Sanji's gentlemanlike behavior. "Oh, you're sweet, but I do not want to waste any more of your time," the old woman said. "Nonsense, it would be my pleasure, really," Sanji said as he bent down for her to get onto his back. The old woman smiled at him as she then got on top of his back. After she was safely secured, Sanji arose from his crouching position and started walking back towards Radiant City. "Such a nice young lad. Your parents did a splendid job at raising you, right?" the old woman said. "Actually, miss, I was born an orphan, but later in my life I was raised by some good people who made me the gentleman I am today," Sanji told her. "Oh, what nice people they were then," the old woman said. "Yeah, they sure were," Sanji said, remembering Kakashi, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Tsunami, Tazuna, and Zeph. He smiled as he remembered those who helped him in his old life and current life. "They made me feel like the luckiest man in the world," Sanji said, making the old woman smile. "A nice young man indeed. You deserve that power hidden within you, and you are kind with a golden heart that I know can overcome the darkness lurking within you," the old woman thought as Sanji continued to take her to the beautiful city. After helping the old woman, Sanji had said goodbye and wished her luck in her shopping as he then went to get the ingredients for the ship. After finding the market area, Sanji bought the ingredients and headed for the ship as it was now late in afternoon. "I actually have more left over than I thought. Who would have expected the food to be half price before the festival could even start?" Sanji thought with a smile. Sanji then noticed something from the corner of his eye, making him halt his movements. Sanji turned to see something that made his eyes widen. He made his way to a store window that was showing off jewelry, outfits for both genders and accessories. Yanni saw a golden necklace, but what caught his attention was the pendant tied to it, that's design, which was a swirl pattern that looked eerily familiar. The Uzumaki clan symbol, Sanji thought as he started heading for the entrance. Once inside, Sanji walked up to the store's cashier. "May I help you?" the male cashier asked. "Yeah, how much for the golden necklace in the window with the pendant that is in the swirl pattern?" Sanji asked. 425 Baileys, sir." "I have enough," Sanji said as he took out 125 Baileys and paid the man. "One moment, sir." The worker then left to retrieve the cufflinks and then came back and gave Sanji the necklace. "Enjoy, sir, and thank you for your services." "No, thank you," Sanji said with a smile as he then put the necklace over his head and around his neck. I may have lost my headband and left my old jacket at old man Tazuna's house, but now I can wear this to show my clan's symbol with pride, even if the Uzumaki clan are not a part of this world. Sanji thought with a smile as he then took his bags of food and new necklace and left. Once he left, he noticed a bunch of kids making fun of a blonde kid wearing an orange hoodie. Sanji blinked as he could have swore that kid kind of looked like how he used to look when he was a child, only the kid's hair was more shaggy than spiky. Loser. Sanji heard one of the kids bullying the boy said. Blondes are nothing but stupid people. Yeah, and orange sucks too. Yeah, and your really blue eyes are weird. Okay, that's where Sanji drew the line, since he was a blonde with really blue eyes who happens to be wearing an orange buttoned shirt. Sanji unbuttoned his coat to show off his favorite color as he made his way towards the kid. Loser, loser, blonde baka loser, who makes orange look stupid. The kids sang as they made the boy feel like he was about to cry. Hey! They all turned to see a very angry blonde with blue eyes wearing a suit and orange buttoned shirt, and he looked pissed. What was that you said about blondes with blue eyes who loved to wear orange? Sanji shouted as his hair rose and moved dangerously. Sanji's angry appearance made the kids, minus the bullied one, scream in terror as they then ran away. Yeah, that's right. Get the hell out of here, dat bayo. Sanji shouted. The young boy looked up at Sanji with shock and amazement as his eyes shined with admiration. Sanji then turned to the kid and smiled. You okay, kid? Sanji asked. Why yeah, thanks mister. The boy said. Please, call me Sanji. Sanji introduced himself with a small bow. And what might your name be? Sanji asked. Shinichiku, Sanji-san. The boy now known as Shinichiku introduced himself with a bow. Shinichiku, huh? I like that name. Sanji said with a grin, making Shinichiku look at him with shock before he smiled at him. So where are your parents? You shouldn't be alone, Sanji said, but then he saw Shinichiku have a sad expression on his face. I don't have any parents. I'm an orphan, sir, Shinichiku said, shocking Sanji. People around me don't like me either way. The adults think I'm strange, and the parents don't want their kids to play with me or be my friends, and the kids usually bully me. I'm usually alone, Shinichiku said with sadness. Sanji looked at Shinichiku with some sadness as he now saw an image of his younger self in Shinichiku. Some days I feel like it would be better if I didn't existed. Shinichiku said. Don't ever say that, Shinichiku. Sanji said, making Shinichiku look up at him with shock. A life is precious no matter what it is. I was born an orphan and for a long time the people of my village despised me. But I kept picking myself up whenever they tried to throw me down because I wanted to prove to them that I mattered. Once I found people that I considered more precious to me than my own life, I found true strength and happiness. You just need to stick it out a little longer and continue to find yourself true friends who will become more precious to you than anything in the entire world. Trust me, Sanji said. But what if I don't find them? Shinichiku questioned. You will. I believe in you. Believe it, Sanji said with a huge grin and his visible eye closed as he thrust his fist forward. Shinichiku looked up at Sanji with so much admiration. Whoever this man is, he wants to be just like him. Shinichiku then started to cry as he then suddenly hugged Sanji's legs. Arigato. Shinichiku thanked him as tears fell down from his eyes. Sanji looked down at the kid with shock before he had sad eyes as he saw a younger version of himself again, and he knew what a child needed in a moment like this. Sanji placed the bags on the floor and then separated Shinichiku from his legs. Shinichiku was worried that he had went too far and now made Sanji despise him as well, but then Sanji bent down and placed his hands on Shinichiku's shoulders and looked him in the eyes before he said anything. Shinichiku, please promise me that you'll never give up on your ELF. That you'll always work hard to earn what you desire and deserve, to always follow your dreams no matter how many people or whoever tell you otherwise, and to never go back on your promises. Promise me this, Sanji said, making Shinichiku's eyes water before he smiled and wiped away the tears with his sleeve. I promise, and I won't go back on my promise or any more I make, Shinichiku exclaimed with confidence. Then he thrust his fist forward and shouted, Believe it. Sanji smiled as he shed a single tear, happy that he had inspired a boy to follow his dreams and desires with pure confidence. That's what I like to hear, Sanji said with his trademark grin, making Shinichiku grin as well. Angie then reached into one of the grocery bags and gave Shinichiku an orange. Just in case you're hungry, Sanji said. Shinichiku looked at the orange before he smiled and took it. Arigato, Sanji-san. Shinichiku thanked the older blonde with a bow. Sanji then stood up and grabbed the bags as he said farewell. Later Shinichiku, don't stop believing in yourself, Sanji said as he walked away. Shinichiku watched as Sanji disappeared into the crowd. One day, he wanted to be like the man. He then noticed a necklace on the floor with what looked like a crystal shard attached to it. Once Sanji walked towards where the ship was, he met up with Robin who smiled at him. Robin Schwan Tilda, how great to see you, Sanji said in love mode as he danced his way towards her. I saw what you did for that boy, Robin said, shocking Sanji out of his love mode. That was very sweet, Robin said with a smile, making Sanji smile and blush red from embarrassment. Well, the kid needed somebody, Sanji said, shrugging his shoulders. Yes, he did, and I am glad that it was you, Robin said, making Sanji blush even more. Well, shall we head off? Yeah, sure, but where's Moss Head? Sanji asked. He met with Chopper, so I decided to go my own way, Robin answered. Which is where you found me in Shinichiku, Sanji deduced, earning a nod of confirmation before the two decided to head back to the ship together. I'm surprised that you just help a boy who you've only just met, and most likely helped him in feeling confident in himself and to continue after what he dreams of and deserves, Robin said with a smile. What can I say? The kid reminded me of myself, Sanji said with a genuine smile. Making it to the city's fountain, which was huge and beautifully designed, Sanji and Robin found that the rest of the Straw Hat Pirates were there. Hey guys, hi Nami Swan Tilda, why are you all here? Sanji asked. After running around a bit, we managed to get Luffy away from the festival's food supply before he started to stir up a problem with the food vendor. But we were so tired that we found this fountain and decided to sit here, Usopp explained. Yes, we ran so much to catch up to Luffy-san that my muscles are sore, but I don't have any muscles. Yo ho 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 ho, Tilda skull joke, Brook joked, making Luffy laugh. I managed to get some new parts for new inventions and got some new super cola for myself, and when I was going back to the ship I met up with these three and sat with them, Frankie said. Zoro and I managed to find the oath ears after we wandered around a bit, Chopper, now in his brain point, said as he sat next to Usopp. And I've been here for a while since the stores around here have so much amazing stuff to buy, Nami said, showing off her numerous bags. So where have you two been? Usopp asked. I found a bookstore and found some books that piqued my interest, Robin said, showing one of the books she bought. And I got the ingredients that I needed for our travels, Sanji said, showing the bags of food, which made Luffy drool when he saw some meat in the bags. Wait, Sanji, what's that? Nami asked, pointing at something. What's what? Sanji asked as she leaned in closer. That, Nami pointed to his new necklace. Oh that, it's a necklace I bought, Sanji answered. With the Baileys I gave you? Nami shouted with some aggravation. Sorry, it's just that the pendant reminds me of the symbol of my family, Sanji answered. What family has a symbol? Usopp questioned. A clan does, Zoro answered, making everyone look at him. So you're from a clan? Zoro questioned, making everyone look at Sanji. Now Sanji was on spot, and he didn't know what to tell them. Sanji-san. Sanji turned to see Shinichiku running towards him. Hey Shinichiku, what's up man? Sanji greeted the younger blonde as he stopped right in front of him. Here, Shinichiku extended his hand to show he was holding a necklace with a crystal shard tied to it. Another necklace? Brook questioned as everyone stared at it, but then suddenly Sanji dropped the bags of food. Sanji? Robin said his name as she noticed the shocked look upon his face. My necklace, Sanji said. You already had one? Sanji, you official owe me big time, Nami exclaimed as she was now upset with Sanji. But then she noticed Sanji's trembling hands as he fell to one knee and reached for his necklace. Sanji grabbed it and held it to his heart as he shed a tear. I can't believe I almost lost this, Sanji softly said. Everyone looked at him wondering why he was so emotional over the piece of jewelry. Sanji-san? Shinichiku said the elder blonde's name with worry for him. Sanji then slowly hugged Shinichiku, which shocked him and the others. Shinichiku was shocked because this was the first time anyone has ever hugged him, while the Straw Hats were shocked because even though Sanji was okay with kids, he wouldn't show such emotion towards a kid, let alone in front of one. The only one who wasn't shocked was Robin, who just smiled at the little interaction. Shinichiku, thank you so much, Sanji said as he then separated from the kid. The necklace means that much to you, huh? Shinichiku asked. Yeah, Sanji said as he looked at the crystal. It's priceless. Really? Well, to me it is, but it is worth a fortune. Sanji said. A fortune? Shinichiku repeated. A fortune? Nami repeated with a huge smile as her eyes sparkled at the word. Yeah, an old friend of mine told me so. He also told me this thing can buy someone a giant mansion and a half. Sanji said. And just with those words, Nami's eyes turned into belly signs as she had an open-mouth grin. So it means a lot to you because of how much it's worth? Shinichiku questioned. No, it means a lot to me because it was given to me by my Ba-chan. Sanji said, surprising the Straw Hats. Ba-chan? So it's a family heirloom? Shinichiku asked. Well, actually I won it in a bet against the old hag, but I kind of grew on her, at least that's what Ero Sennin told me. Ero Sennin? You actually called a sage a pervert? Usopp questioned with a shocked anime-style face. You're one to call someone a pervert. Zoro said. Both of you shut it. I'm trying to talk to a kid. Sanji shouted with an anime-style pissed-off face. Yeah, Shinichiku said, making Sanji look at him with surprise before he shared a laugh with Shinichiku, which irritated Zoro. But anyway, she gave me this because she believed in me. Sanji said. Believed in you? Shinichiku questioned. Way back when I was just a little kid, I had a different dream than the one I have now, and she gave me this as a sign that she believed in me attaining my dream. Did you ever attain it? Sadly no, and that's what saddens me. Sanji said, earning Shinichiku's and the Straw Hats' attention. My original dream was to earn a position that I felt would give me the respect and love that I desperately wanted. That's stupid, Luffy said with his arms crossed. I know it was stupid thinking I'd get people to like me for just earning a position. Now butt out, shithead. Sanji shouted with a scary pissed-off anime-style face complete with sharp teeth before turning back to Shinichiku. She once thought this thing was bad luck, but then she took a chance on me. But even though I never attained that dream, I still felt that with everything I've done so far for people who actually care for me that she'd be proud of me. Sanji said. Wow. So this necklace is important to you because it represents your grandma's belief in you? Shinichiku asked to make sure he got it right. Yeah, but also. Sanji then looked at the necklace with sad eyes. It's the only thing I have left from my original home. Sanji said with a smile. Shinichiku started to believe in Sanji. He knew he was a great man and he now was positive that he wanted to be just like him. The rest of Sanji's crew were now seeing Sanji in a whole new light. He was really surprising them. Sanji then noticed the short old lady from earlier, but then he heard a noise that made him look above her to see a sign was on its last length as it was about to fall on her. Oh crap, Sanji said as the sign was about to fall. Shinichiku, I need you to hold on to my necklace. Sanji said, handing Shinichiku his necklace as he then dashed towards the old woman. Suddenly the sign broke off and came falling towards the old woman, who seemed to have not noticed the sign coming down on her. Everyone finally noticed the sign coming down on her, which led to people screaming. Oh crap, Usopp shouted. Robin, Luffy and Zoro were about to use their abilities to save her, but they then heard Shinichiku yell out, Sanji-san. Which gave them pause as they saw Sanji already on it, as he then jumped into the air as his foot ignited and glowed. Diable Hambi, Devil's Leg, Sanji shouted his technique's name, and once he was close enough to the sign, Sanji then kicked the sign, destroying it as it broke apart into tiny pieces. Strike, Sanji shouted once his technique destroyed the sign. Sanji then gently landed onto the ground as his leg turned back to normal. Whoa, he's so cool, Shinichiku said as his eyes became starry. Great, the arrow cook just got a new fanboy, Zoro said. Sanji then turned and walked towards the old woman. Miss, you should be more careful, Sanji said, but then the old woman started to laugh, which confused him, Shinichiku and the rest of the Straw Hats. Congratulations Sanji, you passed, the old woman said as she walked towards the fountain. Pass? Sanji questioned with confusion. Wait, what do I pass? Sanji asked as he followed her. My test, Sanji, the old woman said as she stopped in front of Shinichiku and the others. Test? Wait, you were testing me? Sanji questioned as he stopped next to her. Sanji-san, what's going on? Shinichiku asked. Hell, I don't even know, kid, Sanji said, shrugging his shoulders. You see Sanji, I sensed a special locked power within you when your ship came into the docks. The old woman said. Sanji's heart stopped as he was shell-shocked with his eyes widening. Locked power? Chopper questioned. Yes. You see, I sensed a power inside your friend here, a special power that I have not sensed in a long time, but for some reason the points in his body that flow that special energy are locked. The old woman said. Now there was no doubt in Sanji's mind. She was talking about his chakra and his locked chakra pathways, but how did she sense it if it's been locked for 8 years? What locked power? Shinichiku asked. Well, I'm glad you asked, young one. The old woman said, pinched his cheek. Hey! Everyone looked at Sanji with surprise. Don't you touch him. Sanji warned her, but that only made her giggle. Your care for others, especially to those who you've just met, is the exact reason why I wish for you to unlock this power. The old lady said, confusing Sanji and the others. Sanji. The woman said his name as she walked up to him. Inside you I sense a light and a heart of gold that I don't believe anyone I've ever seen could match. But I also sense the darkness within you, Sanji. A dark power filled with anger, rage, frustration and bloodlust, and yet it is also so very sad within its center as it feels as if all hope is lost. The Kyuubi. Sanji thought with a wide visible eye. Hey sister, what are you talking about? Sanji doesn't have a darkness within him. Frankie said. Sanji. I will admit that when I sensed the darkness within you, I was afraid, but you seemed like a nice person when I saw you, so I decided to test you in your heart. When you helped me I felt the light in you, but I wanted to know if it was truly from your heart or just a ploy, so I planned to have that sign fall on me and see if you would save me, but when I saw the way you treated this child with such kindness, honesty and belief in him, I started to feel your heart's true song, but it was when you talked about your necklace that made me completely realize that your light could overcome the darkness, but I still wasn't sure in your abilities. So that's why you still went ahead with your plan with the sign. Robin said. Yes, that is correct. The old woman said with a smile. When she looked up at Robin she giggled. It's very funny. The old woman said, confusing Robin. Out of everyone here, I can sense that you and Sanji are kindred spirits. The old woman shocking Robin, who then looked at Sanji with the cook blushing and turning his eyesight away from her gaze. When the rest of the crew saw that interaction, they knew this was a IG deal. Look lady, this whole test thing seems kind of pointless because of a power that is unattainable and is not even in my possession. Sanji said to the short old woman, but that earned him a whack in the leg from a cane that appeared in her hand from out of nowhere. Ow, damn it, that hurt. Dat Bayo. Sanji shouted as he held his whacked leg. Dad what? Usopp questioned as everyone looked confused at Sanji's sudden use of a new word. What I'm getting at, Sanji, is that since you passed my test, I am now going to give you a gift. The short old woman said with a smile, gaining everyone's attention. A gift? Sanji questioned, placing his foot back down onto the floor. Is it meat? Luffy asked, hoping it was. I'm sorry young man, but this gift is only for Sanji and it can only benefit you and your friends if he uses it to protect and aid you. The old woman said. Wait, protect? Sanji questioned with confusion. But then he finally understood what the gift most likely might be. Wait miss. Let's talk this over. Sanji said with his hands up in defense, but then suddenly the old woman appeared in front of Sanji and slammed her palm into his stomach. Suddenly a blue aura surrounded the old woman's palm as it then sent energy into Sanji's stomach as it spread around his body. Sanji then stumbled back as he quickly unbuttoned his coat, then shirt to reveal his exposed torso as a seal then started to appear on his stomach. Sanji then bent over and held his stomach as he felt a burning and power in his gut. Sanji-san? Shinichiku said the elder blonde's name, but then suddenly Sanji screamed as his body exploded with power as a huge plume of blue, golden and red energy shot up into the sky. Nami quickly grabbed Shinichiku and brought him towards the rest of the Straw Hats right before fierce winds started. Everyone in the town square ran away from the intense power. Others in the city saw the beacon of energy shoot into the sky. The Straw Hats held their ground as they tried to withstand the increasing winds and the force of Sanji's new power. After what felt like hours but was really seconds, Sanji stopped screaming as the power diminished as Sanji then fell to his knees, panting from the surge of power. Sanji looked at his hands as he saw a blue aura danced around them. Oh, my, Kami. It's back, it's back. Sanji thought as he stared at his hands with wide shocked eyes. The old woman then started to giggle, But it didn't sound like the giggling of an old lady, it was more like the giggling of a very young woman. "Congratulations, Naruto-kun," the woman said, shocking Sanji again as he looked at her with new fear at how it was even possible that she had discovered his real name. The old woman then threw off her hood only to see that in her place was a young voluptuous woman with long silk-like black hair, golden hazel eyes, fair skin that looked softer than a newborn child's, and red luscious lips. She wore a gorgeous white robe with red lining and a giant red sash wrapped around her waist with it tied in a giant bow at her back, and she also held a golden fan in her left hand. She was the most beautiful woman Sanji and the others have ever seen. You gave reawakened my pathways," Sanji said, still in shock. "What the hell is going on?" Frankie questioned with shock. "Hey lady, what did you do to Sanji?" Luffy shouted as he suddenly felt himself get angry, thinking that she might have hurt him. The woman giggled with her eyes closed as she turned and smiled at Luffy as she waved her golden fan to send a small breeze to her face. "My dear child, all I did was reawaken his chakra pathways," the heavenly-looking woman said. "Chakra." Robin repeated the word with a shocked loom upon her face as she stared at Sanji. "Chakra? Wait, isn't that what shinobi use?" Usopp questioned, remembering Sanji mentioned that, but when he said that, they all immediately realized the truth. Saw. Sanji. Usopp stuttered as he pointed at Sanji with an anime-shocked look upon his face. Is a. Chopper stammered with his own anime-style shocked look upon his face as he couldn't finish his sentence. "I think what Usopp-san and Chopper-san are trying to say is that Sanji is a shinobi." Brook spoke for his two crewmates with his own shock. "A shinobi who's now a pirate," Nami said with shock. "Whoa Sanji bro, this means you're the first ninja pirate." "Super," Frankie shouted with amazement and excitement as he did his super pose. "Cool." Luffy, Chopper, Usopp and Shinichiku shouted like little children, with Shinichiku being the only one of the four who was a child, as they stared at Sanji with starry eyes. Zoro stared at him with shock, but then he smirked. Now things have officially gotten interesting, the swordsman thought as he now had the urge to test out Sanji's new skills. Wait a minute, I think we're all jumping to conclusion. Maybe Sanji isn't a shinobi. Nami said. "No, it all makes perfect sense." Everyone then looked at the shell-shocked Robin, which is a rare sight, minus the mysterious woman in Sanji, who stood up as he still stared at his hands even though the blue aura stopped surrounding it. "The reason he knows so much about shinobi, so much knowledge that I have never heard before, knowledge that I felt wasn't found in literature even though I chose to believe so. Sanji had known such knowledge because he experienced such things. I know this now, he is a shinobi," Robin said, now realizing the true. "I still need some proof," Nami said. "How about the seal on his torso?" Robin said as they all stared at the seal on Sanji's abs. "Oh okay, another," Nami said, still wanting to believe Sanji wasn't a shinobi, the pirate's mortal enemy. Everyone then noticed Sanji's trembling hand were inching closer together until he made a cross with his index and middle fingers. Everyone stared at Sanji, wondering what he was going to do. Sanji then started to say so meting as he was making a K sound. Ka. Sanji, is something wrong? Chopper asked with worry. Kage Bushin no Jutsu. Sanji shouted as he used his chakra for the first time in 8 years to create his old signature jutsu. Suddenly a cloud of smoke appeared next to Sanji, making everyone look at it with suspense. Sanji stared at the smoke, expecting to see only one thing. Once the smoke diminished, there standing in its place was another Sanji. "It worked," Sanji said as he and his clone stared at each other in shock. "An exact copy of Sanji?" Usopp, Nami and Chopper shouted with utter shock and amazement while the rest of the crew stayed silent with great shock within them. "The Kage Bushin," Luffy exclaimed with starry eyes of amazement as he had a huge grin. "Sanji is a shinobi," Chopper exclaimed with starry eyes as well. "So cool," Usopp exclaimed with starry eyes too. "I don't believe it," Nami said, still in great shock that Sanji was a shinobi this whole time. Sanji and his clone stared at each other before the original Sanji lifted his hand up, which only meant one thing. "Let's do it, boss," the clone said as he then started to form something in Sanji's hand. Everyone stared at it, wondering what they were doing, but then suddenly their question was answered as a blue spiraling ball of energy was formed in his palm. Everyone watched in amazement as the small blue spiraling ball was completed in his hand as the clone vanished, leaving a plume of smoke in its place. Sanji stared at the small ball as he then lifted his hand up and slammed it straight into the ground below him. Rasengan. Sanji shouted his technique's name as a small explosion appeared below him with a dust cloud surrounding Sanji. When the dust settled, everyone, minus the woman, gasped as they saw a small crater in front of Sanji. Sanji retracted his hand as he stared at it with his visible eye widened. I do have it back. My chakra, my life energy had been reawakened, Sanji said as he stood up straight, but then he realized something else. Not only was his chakra reawakened, but also, the Kyuubi. Sanji thought as he looked at the seal on his stomach. Oh shit. Sanji then noted that Shinichiku was in front of him looking up at him. You're the coolest guy ever, Shinichiku said, surprising Sanji. You're my new hero, Sanji-san. And I want to be like you, Shinichiku shouted with much vigor, shocking Sanji. Once again, life has put Sanji on a whole new path.